How's it going, everybody? Jody in here, and I'm back with another episode in our Stormworks Steam Train series. I've been home. I've been home dealing with a cold, so I hopped on Discord and talked with the Stormworks community, and as you can see, quite a lot has happened between the last episode and this episode. I said I was going to get it all figured out, um, and that took me down a rabbit hole that you have no idea. You have no idea. But here we are. Here we are. It's still not 100%. Steam in Stormworks is very finicky. Um, this is what I've come to learn from the community. You are never going to get 100%. You're never going to get 100%. There's no full throttle in Steam. You have to manage your throttle, and I also found out that about 30% is about the maximum you're ever going to get. So when you open your valves, for your throttle, 30% is about the max you're going to get. If you go any higher than 30%, you're going to lose steam, you're going to lose pressure, and the water won't be able to keep up. Now, there are some tricks to getting past that, but they're not really feasible in this kind of a build. So as you can see, there's been a lot that's happened. A lot that's happened. I told you in the last video I wasn't coming back until I had this sorted, and that, like I said, that took me down a rabbit hole of probably 10 hours. 10 hours. The train went through a complete rebuild. It doesn't look like it on the outside. Of course, I painted it now, so the outside, of course, looks different than it did before. But you can see some piping through here. There have been some serious changes to the inside of this train. First off, I gotta take you inside. First off, we've got a double boiler system now. There's two boilers side by side in the system now. Heading up to the front, we've got two condensers. There's two condensers, they're side by side here. So condenser 1, condenser 2, side by side. Our piston system for our generator now works. I found out that it does not need valves. The valving that I was looking up was old information. You no longer need valves to pistons. You just need to supply them with steam pressure on both sides. So, or I should say, you need to supply them with steam pressure on the one side, a way out on the other side, and you need to have two of them because one can get logged. It can get stuck at top dead center or bottom center. So you need to have two, and you need to have them offset in order for the. You can see I have them offset. You can see one is one way and one is the other to start, and that is so that none of them are at the top or the bottom at the same time. This one's a little more offset than this one, so the pistons will run, but they are offset so that they are not going to be at the top or the bottom at the same time, and that works. That system works. I have adjusted the system so that it only runs if the battery gets down to 80%, but it works. Another issue I was having was providing pressure behind the steam system. So you see I have a few pumps in here now, and those pumps help deliver the steam to where they need to go. I have not only a pump to the drive units, which is this section down here. There's pumps to and from the drive system. It's kind of hard to show with this stupid square. Let me see if I can get to something that doesn't have a... What can I do here that doesn't have... There we go. Okay. So down here, I have this pump pumping to the drive system. I have this pump drawing from the drive system. So I have a two pump system, one on either side. And also, if you look up here, this is a pump that supplies the whole system. So as soon as it comes out of the boiler, it comes in through this pump, which pressurizes the whole system. And then I have an additional pump for the drive to and from. Now this pump here will supply pressure also to these pistons, and it also supplies pressure to the bypass should the bypass ever need to open. I've never had it open on me yet, so I don't even know if I need a bypass, but it's there just in case. Now, I've doubled the system. As you can see, everything's twinned. So I have the drive pressure on this side, I have the drive pressure on this side, and it all goes through the floor here, which is where our water tank is. We now, instead of having a bunch of small tanks down the side, we have actual water tank. And that actual water tank goes down the middle of the train. So there's an easy supply at the back here, right where the boilers are. There's an easy pickup supply right here. This is where the water's taken out for the boilers, actually at the boilers. So there's very little water travel between the boilers, or between the water tank and the boilers. And then the water tank travels all the way up to the front here where the main tank is, and this is right where the condensers are. So there's very little water travel between the condensers. You can see it comes out here and it comes straight in here. So the boilers pick up the water at the back, the condensers drop the water at the front, and there's very little travel between the two. So the pipe system is very short between when the water gets picked up and when the water gets dropped off. It's a very short delivery. This piping here is delivery to the main drive. That's this piping here and this piping here. You can see there the return line has a directional to it there, but that is the only directional it has. Just to make sure that the water is going, or the steam is going back and not in backwards. I don't know if it can go in backwards, but I engineer for what works in my head. I don't necessarily engineer for Stormworks, which is some of the problem. So here is the valve to the front. This is the valve to the front drive units. Sorry, this is the valve to the main drive units. The front drive units are supplied through the floor and come right to the front of the train. So the valve units for the front drive are actually in this front piece. I have the valve here, and there is no return valve because I rediscovered, I should say, that I don't need a drive or a return. I don't need a valve on the return. I just need a valve on the supply. So I have a valve on the supply here, and you can see right before it goes into the system, I pressurize it again just to make sure it's got enough pressure to run. Again, all I'm doing here is pressurizing the steam. I'm not adding more steam, I'm not gaining more steam, I'm just pressurizing the steam so it can use what's there. Again, that does not get me above the 30% boundary. All this does is make sure that every bit of that steam has pressure behind it. That's all it does. So my steam is finite. However, the pressure that is behind that steam needs to be maintained. So you can see the boilers stick out a little bit here and here. You don't really notice that when you're playing though. The water cooling system is the same system I had before. I had to move it out a tiny bit, which I actually think gives the train a little better detail. So I bumped it out by one block, but it is the same system I had before, except the only difference is I'm doing a full cycle now. What happens is it comes out of the condensers, so it comes out of the two condensers, runs down this side of the train, loops back, runs down this side of the train, loops back, and then goes back into the condensers. So I'm actually using both sides to get that water temperature down. And the fun thing about that is I haven't had to run the coolant pumps yet. The water is staying so cool that I could actually take the pumps out of that line. I'm not going to. I still have the pumps in the line. They're right here. But I could actually take these pumps out of the line because it is staying so naturally cool from the loop system. And I'm not using any power for this. I'm not using any. There's no fans on these. They're just heat sinks. But it is so efficiently sucking the heat out of the system that I don't even need to run the pumps. Um, they just don't run. So when I flip to this view, you can see kind of everything that's going on here. So we have the two boilers, okay, and then we have the two condensers are you can't really see them in this. They're here and here, and then I have the piping between them with the piston generator, which the piston generator works very very well. It only runs for about I would say 30 seconds, just to top up the battery, and then it shuts off again. So it's not really a huge waste of steam. Now, when I get to the front, you're going to notice a little bit of a change to the stack here, and that is that I'm pulling in. I have a vent on the back, and that vent, there's a hidden pump in the stack, and what this does is it's bringing in air, and it's pushing that air. You can see the pipe coming down. It's pushing that air down here, and supplying it to the tank. It comes in the roof of the tank. Now, what this is doing is applying air pressure to the tank. It's pressurizing the tank, the water tank, which I've discovered is a trick to help supply water to the boilers. Now there's another design, which is basically it's a water tank. Um, there's another design which is basically it's like a water tank, like this, um, and this is known to work. This is known to work. There's a water tank, okay, and then you have a valve on this side. So you have, it doesn't matter what kind of valve. It could be a variable valve, could be another valve, whatever. So you have a valve on this side, okay, and then you have a T. You have a T pipe. And then this would be your boiler water supply would be coming in here. Your boiler water supply would be coming in here, and your boiler would be here on this end. Now on this end over here, what you do is you supply a um, a pump. Okay, so you have a pump on here pointing in, and you have it sucking air. So what this does is this pressurizes this water tank, and it's on the outside of the system, which is probably why it works, why this works so well. I don't have room in this build to do this, but this is what I'm attempting to do, or attempting to replicate. So what this does is it pressurizes this water tank, and you have this valve here open just a tiny, tiny bit. It's like pew, 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 kind of like that. And it pressurizes, it builds up pressure in here and then shoots water, like very, very pressurized water. Um, and it just kind of fires it. It just goes pew, pew, pew. It's like firing a bullet of pressure. And apparently that helps supply more water to the boiler. And you do this on the return line. You do this on your return line. So you have your cooling system, whatever, and then it comes back to the water tanks, and then this is your line into the boiler. And apparently this works very well. Um, Now, my issue with this is the fact that you have a very limited water supply right here. And of course, this would be set to fresh water. You have a very limited water supply here. So when this water runs out, your system collapses. It's not any good, because it doesn't matter how big of a water storage tank you have. As soon as this thing's empty, you're SOL. You're shit out of luck. Um, this little tank. So your range is dependent upon how long that little tank lasts. I completely acknowledge that it gives you a hell of a boost to your boiler intake. 100%, huge boost to your boiler intake, but it runs out fast. Um, well, I shouldn't say it runs out fast, but it does run out, and there's no way. You can see with that design, there's no way to restock it. Once it's out, it's out. So for something like a train build, that you're gonna be running down the rails and all that. Once that's out, if it's out, it's out. There's no way to supply it again. There's no way to fill it back up again. And the second you modify that intake to allow you to put water in there, the second you lose the build's advantage, because now you're putting water into the tank, and which now gives you another direction for that water, for that air pressure to go. Um, so it's robs you of that. You're adding more pipe to the system. Basically, you're lowering its capabilities. So what I tried to do was air pressure, supply air pressure to this tank, because the water pickups are actually at the back there. So by supplying pressure on this tank, hopefully it forces water out, because the air is going to stay at the top. Stormworks, the air in Stormworks works properly when you have a self-designed tank. It doesn't work properly when you have these tanks, or when you're using these tanks, it doesn't work properly, because these tanks are just numbers. So you can have air in this tank, you can have water in this tank. What's going to happen is the air and the water are going to come out at the same time. It doesn't matter if you put the hole at the bottom, the hole at the top, the hole at the side. Doesn't matter. It's all going to just mix and come out as one fluid. So you'll get water. You'll get like, if you put it upside down like this. Logically, if you were to put the tank like that, logically in your mind, what's going to happen is it's the air is going to go up here in this tank, and the water is going to be down here. So it's gonna if you pressurize this tank, what's going to happen is the air is going to be forcing the water down, and that's not actually what happens. You get air out of here, water out of here, nitrogen, oxygen, everything all comes out at once. So it doesn't work. But if you have a tank like this, which you self-build, because they process it differently, it's processed more like a flooded area rather than just a storage tank. It's classified as a flooded area. So air will be at the top, water will be at the bottom. So it actually functions as a functional tank. So by me putting pressurized air in here, I'm actually filling the top with air and forcing the water down. At least that's the theory. So it has made a difference. And oh, I forgot to set this. I'm going to set this to 0.3 just so I don't have to deal with the numbers anymore. And I'm going to bring this down so it's a little easier to manage. Okay. So anyway, another thing I've done is I've created this ginormous controller. It doesn't do everything that I want it to do now, or yet, I should say. It doesn't do everything I want it to do yet, but I made this giant controller basically to control everything in the train. It's going to control absolutely everything, from the firebox to the boilers to the pressure to it's going to handle wheel slip. It's going to handle valving. It's going to handle water application. It's going to handle everything. Absolutely everything on the train. So far, it's handling a lot of the main stuff. It's handling enough for the train to actually work. But I want to take you into this quickly just to show you what's going on. And I say quickly, but nah. I can also set the firebox temperature. Whatever I want the firebox temperature to kind of sit at, that's what I can set right here. So that works great for troubleshooting. I found right now 175 seems to be a good number. I might lower it a tiny bit, but it seems right now to be working at 175. I still got to play with it some more. So I'll take you in there and show you how big of a, look at this. How much of a mess is this? Well, actually, it's not a mess. It's actually very organized. It just looks like a mess. So this is my big ass controller for my big ass steam train. I'm not going to take you through all the logic because if I did that, we'd be here for days. Look at it. Look at this. So this is all the data that's coming in from the entire system. Everything from pressures, temperatures, um, wheel slip, everything's coming in to this controller. I have 2 Lewis scripts so far because it won't all fit in one script. This is a big program. So if I take a look at my first Lewis script is basically this is all Firebox control. So I have a kind of a PID system. It's not really a PID. It just does kind of what a PID does. This is actually smarter than a PID, way smarter. Um, and I got this code from one of the guys on the Discord. Um, and I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was Trapdoor. I think provided this code. Um, he got it from somewhere else. Basically, it's kind of like code that's passed around. It's like somebody finds a solution. I have no idea who first came up with it. Somebody found the solution, and then it gets passed around because everybody's like, "Holy shit, we figured this out!" Or somebody figured this out, and then boom, it gets handed out. Every time somebody asks, "Oh, I'm having a problem with this," it's like, "Oh yeah, here's some code that'll help you out." But I don't really know where the code originated from, but I believe I got it from Trapdoor. So I don't know if he wrote it, or I don't know if he had an AI write it, or I don't know if maybe he had it already and somebody gave it to him when he was having the issue. But it is a very good function that works. So if you're in Stormworks, don't feel go ahead and you can copy this code right from this video if you want. Um, but it is a PID and it works. It works. Um, very well. It doesn't bounce around as much as a an actual PID would. You have the gain on an actual PD; it just bounces all over the place. This is much more stable, and I actually like it. I like it really well because it self corrects, it error corrects, it changes its deviation and gain based on how far out it is. It works great. So, anyways, that's the function right there, right from there to there. Um, and of course, I have my rounding functions in here just for that's for my displays. Because I now have displays to display everything, I needed to see what was going on with the train, so I created displays, and I was like, I need to see what's going on. I need to see the output. I need to see what it's doing. I need to see if pumps are running, if pumps aren't running. I need to see, how much steam pressure there is, how much steam is being used. I need to see the temperatures and the heat. So I was like, I need to output all this data to screens, and the only way to do that is to actually output it to a screen. So I now have displays in the cab of the train to show me what the hell's going on with the train, and it works really well for debugging. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if I'll keep them on the train, but I integrated them and they look good, and they're there. So when I actually hop in the train and go drive, you're gonna see some displays, which isn't really Steam Train, but well, it's kind of jumping generations, but they're there. Um, so anyway, so what I do here is I bring in I bring in my inputs, and then I check the coal level, check water level. Um, these are for warning indicators. I check to see if my override's been triggered. I do have an override built into the system, and that override is for if I'm out of water, if I'm out of coal, it basically shuts the system down. It does not let the system run. If there's no point in running, it doesn't run. So so if there's no coal, if there's no water, there's no steam. So we're not going to process a steam train's functions if there's nothing to process. So yeah, there is an override built in if the override is triggered, and the override can be reset by turning the system off and back on again. But there is an override built in if it's out of coal or out of fuel. This function here starts the firebox. So if the firebox is cold and we have coal, then it's going to ignite it. It's going to set the air to full, and it's going to set the firebox pumps to off, because we don't want to be drawing heat from the firebox when we're trying to warm the firebox up, or when we're trying to start the firebox. So once the firebox gets warm, then we start monitoring the firebox. So once the firebox is above the temperature of 50, which means it's started, we're going to turn off the igniter, and this is when we start getting into our loop where we actually monitor the firebox. So if the firebox is warmer than 50, now we start controlling the boiler heat pumps. So we check again if the boiler temperature, this is what we're checking here, if the boiler temperature is higher than 122 degrees, because I want to stay at a stable boiler temperature. I don't want the temperature to get too high on the boiler, because you actually start losing efficiency if your boiler gets too hot. So I set it to 122. I might actually lower that a bit, depending on how this run goes. I'm going to keep an eye on that boiler number, and if it starts getting too high, which is about 130, you don't want it to hit 130. You want it to be in about 110 to 125, somewhere in that range. That seems to be the most efficient area. In fact, around 113 was the highest efficiency I got out of the nuclear generator. Was about 113 to 115, somewhere in there. So I don't want to get higher than 130. So I have it cutting off the heat pumps at 122. So if it's greater than 122, the heat pumps are off. If it's less than 122, the heat pumps are on. But remember, that's only if the firebox is higher than 50 degrees. All right, so this is where the air function comes in, and I can actually take this line out. This was a temporary line in here. So this is where the PID runs. It's called a PID. It's not actually a PID. It's actually a function that is a math function that's better than a PID. But for simplistic sake, it's called a PID. We're calling it a PID just for the sake of it being simple. So I set minimum max air. So I don't want my air ever to be higher than 1, because there is no setting higher than 1. I don't want my air to ever be lower than 0.3, because that'll turn the firebox off. While the system is on, I don't want the air to be any less than 0.3. Here is the override trigger if we run out of coal. So if coal is less than 1, ignition turned off, air turned off, firebox pumps turned off, and override is triggered. So we shut off the ignition, we kill the air, we kill the firebox pumps, and we go into override. So if the system isn't turned on, so if the system is off, the firebox pumps are off, the air's off, the ignition is off, and the override goes back to being false. So we can reset the override by turning the system off. And then we go into bookkeeping before our next loop. So our count goes back to 0. Our LAS setting equals our air setting. So basically we're monitoring what our last air setting was, what our last boiler setting was, and what our last firebox, I think that's firebox temperature. Our last boiler temperature and our last firebox temperature. So we're sending those into the next loop, basically. And then we have our outputs. And then we have our screen draw. So this is all for the display screen. So on the display screen, we have whether the system's on or off. We have the set temperature. We have the firebox temperature. We have how much coal we have. We have our boiler temperature. We have our heat pumps. What the status of our heat pumps are. Are they on or off? We have our air valve setting. We can see what our air valve is set to. We can see if our igniter is running, and we can see the overall status of the system, which I programmed in down here. We have if it's an override, the status is error. If the boiler is less than 100 degrees, it is warming, and that flashes, so that's why it's like that. I want to actually take this out here, because I don't want that blinking anymore. I had the ready blinking, but it was just like an on-off blink, so it didn't really make sense. This one is a 2-color blink. So it blinks yellow and then red, and then yellow, then red, then yellow, and then red, just for visual effect. So if override is triggered, we'll get an error. If the boiler is too cold, we'll get warming. And if the boiler is at the right temperature, which is above 100, we'll get ready. I did not program if the boiler gets too hot. I could put another line in to say if the boiler's, above 130, maybe it goes like overheating or something like that. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. Just so we have that status. Just so we have that status. If the boiler is over 130, so if the the boiler's less than 100, and the boiler BTL is less than 130, then we'll do that. If the boiler is over 130, then we'll go red 255 00 because it goes red, green, blue. So I want this to be full red, and we're going to go overheat. We'll just put overheat. So it'll say error if it's override, which means we're out of cold or out of water. It'll blink warming if the boiler is below 100. It'll blink warming. If the boiler is between 100 and 130, it'll show ready in a nice green color. And then if our boiler is above 130, it'll show overheat. So that's our status output. And you can see some of the statuses I need to do, like ignition, like the firebox ignition, I have on and off. And then for here, the firebox pumps, I have on and off. So there's different things, and the same here with the system. The main system is on or off. So you have that status, and then I have a little counter here for the blinking to control the blinking. So if the blink is less than 150, it says warming. If it's greater than 150, it says warming in the different color. That's just how I did that, was with a little numerical loop. So if blink goes up to 300, then you reset it to 0. So the first half of that 300 is one color, second half of that 300 is another color, and that's how you do a blink when you're doing on draw. You just set up a little counter for your blinker, and then you just have it draw two different things depending on what the blinker's at, what the count is at. So that's that script. That's the first script. Remember, there's two sides to this script. There's that script, and then there's this script. This script is the firebox script, which kind of monitors the boiler temperature as well. This script here is the steam script. Supposedly the steam script. It's supposed to be the steam script. So first thing we need to do in the steam script, because of the way Lua works, every time you go from one side to the other, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, every time you go from one side of the Lua to the other, if you want something on this side to have access to something over here, you have to send it through. You can't just connect this and it automatically, this one automatically know what's over here. You have to take all of this information. If you need this information over here, you have to take all this information and you have to send it through to the next Lua script, plus whatever you've done in here, you have to send it through to the next Lua script. So when I go into this Lua script, you can see at the start I set some things, and the only things I'm bringing in this stuff here. So I'm bringing in 2 to 13, no, 2 to 15 plus 32. And then I think at one spot I I also grab one. I grab one right here because that's the main system on off. So I grab that first. So I'm grabbing 1 to 15 plus 32, which 32 is my firebox setting. That's my slider. So I'm grabbing 1 to 15 plus 32. When I go down to the output, down here, I'm outputting 1 to 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. So I'm going 1 all the way. So you see, I'm taking the stuff that I brought in, and I'm sending it back out. Plus, I'm sending out the stuff that I've done this round. Oh, 32 is my override. Sorry, 32 is my override. So I'm taking the stuff here, and I'm sending it on. The stuff that I've not only calculated, so I calculated error. So I have to send that out because I need that to be at the very end. So I can actually control the error, send out the controls for the error. And same with the CWL, WWI, and the firebox pumps. I need to send all that stuff into the next script and the override. So in the next script, when I come in, I have all my variables from the start. I have all the variables I've added plus the variables I need for this script. And then down here, the first thing I do is I bring everything in. So all the numbers that I sent out, 1 all the way to 19, 20, 25, 32, I got to bring all those in because I need them at the very end. I need to send them on to the next system and then send them on to the next system and so on and so forth. So then I come through on this program, I make sure the system's on, make sure there's no override, and then if the system's on, there's no override, then I start getting into the programming, which right now it does very little. It checks the condenser temp, and if the condenser temp is too hot, so if it's above 35, it turns on the pumps. If it's below 35, it leaves the pumps off. This one checks the water level in the boiler. If the water level in the boiler is below 160, turns on the boiler pump, otherwise leaves the boiler pump off. And then this is the steam generator system. Okay, so this is the generator for the battery. So if I have at least 1 atmosphere of pressure in the system, and the battery is less than 0.8, that's one atmosphere of steam, and the pressure is less than the battery is less than 0.8, so it's less than 80%. It opens the steam pressure valve 0.2. It doesn't open it to full. It opens at 0.2 because remember when I said when it goes full open, when steam goes full open, you actually start to lose. That's why I say you can only go to 30% throttle. So I have it opening 0.2, which is 20%. Otherwise, it's closed. So if the battery goes too low, it opens to 20% to get the battery charged. And like I said, it only runs for about 10 to 30 seconds in order to charge the batteries. It's really, really quick. And then otherwise, it shuts it off and doesn't run the generator. So this is actually conserving steam and using it only when we need it. And then I do want this to control throttle, brake, wheel slip, and all that stuff. But for now, I'm just leaving all that in the hands of the player. For now, because I haven't done the programming for that. Now, when we get to the end of this program, again, we have to output everything, absolutely everything we've done so far. So 1 to 15, which is the first half, and then we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, 31, and 32. We send everything out, everything. And then we do a couple of loop things. So saves the current player, brake, throttle settings. That's for later, so I can monitor if the brake and the throttle are changed by the player between loops. So I'm saving an old throttle. I'm saving the current throttle as a temporary. I'm saving the current brake as a temporary, so I can check when it loops back around. Did the player change the throttle? Did they change the brakes? And that'll be in my wheel slip script, which I don't have in here yet. This is all I'm doing right now with this because I'm still in test mode. So, and then I have another screen draw because I need to send out more information here. This screen draw shows my water level, how much water is in the boiler, how much steam pressure I have, whether the boiler pumps are on or off, what my coolant temperature is, whether the coolant temps are running, what the bypass valve is doing, how full the battery is, and what the status is of the generator. So I have more data here, more useful data for debugging, so I can see what the train's doing. And then of course it goes into then drawing the data on the screen. So all of these Lewis scripts are basically monitoring and controlling the train, making sure everything's running smoothly. And then, of course, on the end of this Lewis script, I output it. And you can see there's a couple of variables that I have open because I don't need them anymore. These were controlling the valves for the pistons. Yeah, they were controlling the valves for the pistons, which then I learned I didn't need valves on the pistons. I just needed one main valve, so that main valve is being controlled, and I don't need these two. But those still exist over here because I now have those numbers free if I need them for something. So channel 29 and channel 30 are now open for me to use should I need to output anything, which I'll have. Right now I don't have. I have the brake applications coming out. I have the throttle applications coming out. So all that stuff's coming out. But I might need a couple more variables, so I do have those available. Thankfully, this is where it stops at 31 because I believe there's only 32 variables in a composite. So if I had any more variables than this coming out, I think I would be in trouble. Because it's 31, 30, 29. I think they're all here. 24, 23, 22, all the way up to 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Yeah. So I have 16 to 30, 31. And then over here I think I'm using one to, yeah. So that's channel 1, and then channels 2 to 13, channel 14 and 15, and then channel 32 here. So, so I'm using up all the channels. Although I think the channels are, I think I'm capable of splitting the channels. I think I can go up to 32 channels in and 32 channels out. I don't think it's, you know, crisscross like that. But I'm trying to keep them separate, so it's easier for me. You should see the piece of paper I have in my hand. I have a full piece of paper that has every single variable written on it, all their short forms, because when I'm doing the programming in the Lua, it's when I'm sitting in the Lua and going, okay, what is this? What is that? What is, like, I don't know these acronyms unless I come up to the top here and say, okay, what the hell's ACT? Oh, that's average condenser temperature, which makes sense when I wrote it. But when I'm down here in the program and I go, okay, ACT, what the hell does that mean? Without my note here, I would have no clue what ACT means without scrolling up. So that's why I have this pad of paper that has, you know, it says here average condenser temperature, and then it's got ACT, and then it's got the number afterwards. So I know what number that output is down here. So it's 11. There you go. So you need a notepad. When you're working in Stormworks with Lua scripts, you need a notepad, or any programming at all, really. You need a notepad so you can keep track of stuff so you don't have to search for it through your program. But yeah, so there's the Lua script. I'm going to save it, or resave it, because I made that minor change. And then we're going to get to actually running the train. So Firebox has some changes too. You can see the there's quite a change here, and that specific change is that we have kind of less storage on the train than we did, and the reason for that is because we're running 2 boilers, we need to run 2 fireboxes. I found one firebox does not heat up 2 boilers. Excuse me, at least not efficiently, and it can't keep them at temperature. So I have 2 fireboxes now. There's the screens. I have 2 fireboxes now. I put in as much coal as I can behind the fireboxes. Coal is really hard to, or I shouldn't say coal. I should say these ducts are really hard to hide. They're so big and bulky. It's just stupid how big and bulky these things are. But I mean, it makes sense because storage is bulky. You can't have like one of these holding like 400 coal. It would be stupid. Wouldn't make any sense. So I understand the bulkiness. I don't like it, but I understand it. And the reason, so this doesn't carry that much coal. I think it only carries about 270. So I made a I made a coal car behind it, and the coal car can hold, I think, over 1,000. I think just over 1,000. It's reloadable. It has at the top. It has the open grates, or the open hoppers, so you can reload it. And because we don't have conveyors, I had to build kind of a conveyor system, which is this thing over here that looks like, you know, it looks like a schlong that's getting ready to violate something. But what it actually does, it's a separate system. It is separate from this system. So this is the storage system over here, and then the storage system leads up to this duct here. And then what happens is when you're loading, or when you need more coal in the main train, what happens is this arm here moves forward on a set of rails. You can see the rails in there. So this arm here moves forward on a set of rails, pushes in this trigger, and because once it reaches the end, it pushes in this trigger. And what happens when this trigger is pushed is this valve turns on, dumps coal here, which this will be over here. So this moves with this arm. So this will be over here, underneath here. It does have a shield. It has a shield built in, so you can kind of see that shield wall there. This wall moves with the arm. Let me get it back into this view. So this arm here, or this wall here, moves with this. So this wall plus this little hopper here, all move this way, and it creates kind of like a channel here. So you have a wall here, you have a wall here, you have a hopper here, and they all move together. So coal comes out of here. So from the coal storage, coal comes out of here, drops out of here, into this hopper, and then from that hopper, it travels through and comes out here, and this will be over top of this. So what happens is it basically takes the coal from here, dumps it into this duct here, which refills our train. So that was a long explanation to basically say, you know, it conveyors it from here to here. So I don't have to manually do anything with the coal anymore. Now, a problem I've discovered with trains, specifically train wheels, and I'd like to kick the developers for this, is these wheels are not all the same damn size. They're not. They're oddly sized. So I put this here. I put my typical connector in, my typical train knuckle, and I put some wheels on the train, and the train was too low, so I changed the wheels. And then the train was too high, or the cart was too high. And then I changed the wheels again. The cart was too low. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I discovered that not all these wheels are the same height. In fact, you can see the difference. Look at the difference. These wheels are as low as they can go. These wheels are as low as they can go. And look at the difference in height. There is a clear difference. These are right on the line. These are not. There's a clear difference in height between these back wheels and these front wheels. And like I said, these wheels are as low as they can go. These wheels are as low as they can go. But there's a clear height difference there. And then these wheels here are also as low as they can go. And there's a clear height difference. Stormworks developers, get your shit together. Like, why are you making wheels that are off the block? Like, you have a grid. We actually have a build grid. Look, there's a build grid. This is a build grid. This grid matches this grid. So why do tires not line up with the damn grid? They don't line up. So if you're using small tires and medium tires, you're going to notice, and I do notice. So look at the train right now. You can see this is level, okay? When I bring this train into the world, you're going to see something. This train is going to be pointed very slightly on a forward slope. It's going to be sloped down this way because these wheels are smaller. Even when they're all the way down, I can't bring them down any further. Like, watch, I'll bring the whole build down, and you'll see as soon as I bring the build down, one block. Wait, can I bring? No, that's it. See? Build's at the bottom. That's as low as the build goes. Which means this is on the bottom. These are also on the bottom because I can't build tires. I can't build these wheels down any further. I don't know if I can replicate that or show you that. But if I grab this set of wheels and I try to place them one lower than what they currently are, you see? That's one block lower. And those actually line up better. that wheel lines up better with the big wheels than these wheels do, than the existing wheels do. So you can see that's one block lower. See? It's just one block lower. Lines up better, but these wheels are now below the build zone. They're not on the build zone anymore. They're outside of it. So you can see that wheels don't line up. which is ridiculous. So see these wheels line up here? They're lined up. If I go down, you see how it goes red on the bottom? See how the red on the bottom changes when I go down? it's ridiculous. And then if I go down one block, if I go down one block from level, I can't build there. See, I'm outside the build zone. If I go down one block for these, I'm in the. So having the big wheels and the small wheels your train is actually not lined up. It's weird. It's I don't know why the developers decided to do that. It makes no sense in my mind. Um, but anyway, that's what they did. So let's get this train spawned in. There's enough talking. We'll spawn it in, and I'll show you it running. So as soon as we spawn in, you notice the first thing you hear is a clang. That is our train grabbing. You can even see the difference here. You can see that these wheels are lower than these wheels. You can see the connectors don't align properly. And I can unconnect them and reconnect them, and you can actually see it jumps up. So, I mean, they're connected as good as they're going to get, and they do stay connected, but because of the difference in the train wheel size, there you get a definite, and you can see the tilt. See the tilt that I was talking about? You can see it's sloped down. Instead of being straight level, it slopes down because these tires here are smaller than these tires. And I don't mean smaller as in smaller definitely their circumference or their diameter is smaller. Definitely, they're smaller wheels, but the way that they line up in the build zone is smaller as well. It doesn't align with these back wheels, and you can see that. You can see you can see it's tilted forward. This wheel is down. This wheel is a little bit higher. This wheel's a little bit higher, and this wheel back here is almost off the damn ground. And you notice the same thing on the front. This wheel is down. This wheel is a little bit more visible. This wheel is almost off the ground because it's tilted forward on this wheel. This wheel here the whole train is tilted forward on this wheel because these don't line up on the ground the same way these line up on the ground. So that's definitely an issue with Stormworks. It's the way the designers have designed them, which doesn't make any sense. They didn't follow the grid that they themselves instituted. So I mean, what can we do? You know, and I like that I did this. This is a much nicer way of switching these on and off. I might change my other train so it's like that. Just having a little knuckle disconnect switch instead of a big bulky push button. I'm starting to dislike these big bulky push buttons, even though I still use them a lot. I'm starting to dislike them. I'm starting to get into the whole switch thing. So anyway, here's our cab. Quite a few changes. I'm no longer sitting sideways, which, I liked sitting sideways, but having the wall here, it was too bulky. The wall between, which was here, didn't leave enough space here. So I decided to do away with the wall, keep the driver elevated, but have him face forward so there's more room for a couple other seats, and there's room here now too, because that wall would have been right here, so you would have been stuck in this space right here with a wall between you. It was too confining with that wall there, so it's gone. The controls are still fairly simple. I have brake, I have the reverser, I have the throttle, I have a steam whistle, and I have two indicators. I have a low water indicator and a low coal indicator. These will flash when the water storage or the coal storage is below, I think, 15%. I have the clock up here, which every conductor needs a clock, and you'll notice the time is not moving because I currently don't have time moving. Because I'm still in test mode. So this button here is for the coal alarm. You can see it coming over and it'll start dumping coal. I don't actually want it to dump coal though because the coal storage is full. So 400 over here, and over here I am carrying 1600. So we got a shit ton of coal. I did make a change to the water pickup system, the desalinization system, and I did notice that I had to do some coloring there to fix. So the desalinization system, its fix is basically that I put a handle on it, because before I did not have a handle. I just had this piece here and this here, and I found I could not get it to go over the railing because it would be raised here. This would be actually a raised step, and without a handle on here, there's nothing to grab to. So I would start bouncing it around like this, trying to get it onto the ledge. And then once I got it out of the ledge, I couldn't get it off into the water. So now there's a grab handle, so you can actually grab it, and you can bring it over off the ledge or off the edge of the thing. So it works a lot better. My water storage gauge is broken over here because I now have the water tank up here, and I didn't do the gauge yet. So it's a little broken, but I will eventually fix that as well. And swing that around sideways so it sits nicer. There. Yeah, sort of. It is what it is. Anyway, so I still have the gate here because I like this nice little gate. And our main toggle on switch. So we'll do it. I'll toggle it on. You'll see the system comes to life. Everything happens automatically. So you can hear the heat pumps kicking in. You can see our little warming status that cycles between the two colors as the count goes. You see our fireboxes heat up. Now everything here is done on averages. I have two boilers. It does not monitor the boilers independently. It monitors the average between them. Same with the firebox. It does not monitor the temperature of each firebox. It monitors the average between them. And same with the cooling, the condensers. It doesn't monitor the condenser temperature separately. It monitors them in combination. So everything's done on average. Everything's calculated on average. The pressure out of the boilers is averaged. The water going into the boilers, averaged. The water in the boilers, averaged. Everything's averaged because both sides should be doing the same thing because they're built identical. Left side and right side are built identical, so everything should be happening identical. So you can see our firebox temperature is at 176, which we have it set to 175, so you can see that PID. I keep calling it a PID because I really have nothing else to call it. But that PID calculation is doing a hell of a good job here. You can see our boiler is up. It's at 104. The heat pumps are still running. You'll see when it gets about 120. What is it set to 122? You'll see once it gets to 122, you'll hear those heat pumps kick off. That's that sound you're hearing right now. That motorized sound, because the pumps are right underneath. The pumps are right underneath the fireboxes. So you'll hear those kick off when it hits 120. But we are ready to go. We have boiler heat, we have boiler water, we have steam. You see the boiler water going down. You see the steam climbing. It maxes out at 60, so it's at its limit. Our coolant temperature, you can see our coolant temperature here. Coolant pumps are off. The bypass valve is closed. Battery's at 99%, so we're good to go. Generator's not running right now. So yeah, we're all set to go. I can pull the brake off and start applying throttle. And here we go. And we're moving. So you can see our status right now. We have no water in the boiler right now, but we have full pressure. And it's actually the pressure here. The difference between the water and the pressure. Once the pressure starts to go down, you'll see water can be applied to the steam engine or the boilers. So we're moving. It doesn't get up to a ridiculous speed. I think about 23 or 24 or something like that. That's about as high as it gets. Oh no. Or wait, did this get up to 40? This might get up to 40. So we're at 30 now. I'm gonna take it up all the way up to full. I gotta keep an eye on our pressure here in our water, because I think at full, I think we start losing. Because 30 is the max, they say, and I have it at 30. So I'll keep an eye on the. You can see the water's being pumped in pretty good. You can see the boiler pressure, the steam pressure is somewhat holding, and we're cruising along. 37, 36. If I bring it down a little bit, we might get some higher speed out of it. The way that Steamworks is kind of interesting. Sometimes you can actually get more speed by cutting back your throttle. Sometimes. It's kind of interesting. Your valve control is is like I said, it's not like your typical throttle. It's you have to control your valves a little more off and on. You can see the boiler temperature gets up to 120, 122, and you'll see it cut off, and then it drops down, and then it kicks on. You can see the boiler goes down to about 115. It just skips down to about 115 just briefly, which is kind of where we want it. We want it to be around. We don't really want it to be any lower than 110, but we don't want it to be any higher than about 122. So you'll hear those pumps kick on and off, and you can see our valve. Look at our air valve. Air valves just on and off, on and off. Little tiny adjustments. But look at how stable our firebox temperature is. When the pumps kick on, it drops a little bit, but it still stays within 1 degree. It stays within 1 degree of, actually it stays within like 0.1 of a degree of being where we want it to be. And we've already taken the turn and we're heading towards the Arctic now. But she's running stable. We have our load of coal behind us, which is kicking along nicely. And she's stable. This is as stable as this train has ever been. I have not experienced any wheel slip with this train, so I don't even know if I need wheel slip control. Probably not. I don't think I need to incorporate the wheel slip control. It actually runs fine the way it is right now. Maybe if I start putting cars to it, putting some weight on the back, I might have to deal with wheel slip. But she's running perfectly fine right now. We're chugging on down the rail. You can see those front wheels are just going. That is just going. So I don't know that we can get more speed out of this. I mean, it's a steam locomotive, so what do you really want from it? We're doing what are we doing? 40? 37. We're holding 37, which is pretty frickin' respectable, I think, for a steam train. So yeah. I can thank the community for some of their assistance. They did give me quite a bit of help, especially with the balancing the firebox. My coding for balancing the firebox was a little rudimentary. I was basically controlling it by, if it got up to a certain degree, set the air to this. If it got up to a certain degree, set the air to this. But there's no way that I could get the accuracy doing it that way. There's no way I could get the accuracy of this calculation that it's doing now. I kind of wrote my own little PID, which didn't function nearly as good as this one. So I'm really glad that the community was there to help with that, get that sorted. Because once I had the firebox temperature sorted, then I can set up the boilers. Once I had the boilers all set up, which the boilers I did my own. Once I had the boilers all set up, then I can start working on the water supply. Once I got the water supply all squared away, then I can work on the cooling. Once I got the cooling all squared away, and so it was this, and then this, then this, and just working my way down the list to determine exactly what I needed in each stage. And you can see the firebox temperatures aren't the same. This one's 174. This one's 175.6. This one's 174.2. So that's why I take the average between them, because they're not going to be the same. This one has less line, less pumping than this one, because the lines are further away. This one has more exhaust line, because the exhaust has to go actually from here to here before it matches that one. So it has more of an exhaust trip. It has more of a pumping trip. So this one I expect to be a little lower than this one, because this one's got to do a little bit tiny more work than this one. So I expect it to be a little different. Same with the boilers. The boilers, I don't expect them to have the identical pressure or the identical temperatures, because one's closer to, say, like the generator, one's closer to the generator than the other one, and one's closer to the return than the other one, and because the return line comes down the one side, the send line goes down the other side of the water tank. So there's going to be little tiny variations, which is why averaging them out makes the system balance, because you're going to have one that's a little bit low, one that's a little bit high, and when you average them out, you get a nice steady system. You can see our water. We have a crap ton of water. We have like 9,000 liters in our water tank. So I would be really surprised if we had to actually heat up or get more water at some point. You can see our steam pressure has dropped a little bit. We're down to 29. We're not maintaining full pressure at this full setting, and that of course might have an effect on our speed, even though it's not yet. We have a nice stable water level in our boilers, and our boilers are running at a nice stable 120 degrees. These numbers will change depending on where we are. We're heading up towards the Arctic. You can see our coolant temperature's getting down. It was at what was it, 20 something degrees, 22, 23 when we started this ride. Now we're down to 16, so our cooling is dropping. Our cooling pumps are off. Like I said, they are not running. Our cooling pumps are not running. This cooling is happening naturally as we're driving down the tracks. And that is how good these damn heat sinks are. I think the cooling system has a little bit of its own motor pressure. I think the what are they called? The condensers. I think they have a little bit of pumping power just by themselves. So they probably are circulating the water around, or the coolant around. But not as good as it would circulate if the pumps were on. But still, we're down to 16 degrees, and our boiler temperature is now stable at 120. The heat pumps are on because we are actually getting colder as we head up towards the Arctic. So these numbers are changing because we're getting up towards the Arctic. We're getting into a cooler zone. The temperature's dropping, and so there's going to be some differences in our system. But our system is set to balance that out because our heat pumps are now on constantly. Instead of going on and off, they're now running constantly to keep the boilers going. Our firebox temperature is stable, which is good. So it should provide stable heat to the boilers to keep them up. And as long as we don't drop below 100, which I don't think we will, we'll be fine. If we drop below 100, I might have to write a contingency that increases the firebox temperature. Maybe it like adds 10 degrees to what the firebox temperature is. So if the boiler temperature, if it can't maintain the boiler temperature, then add another 10 degrees to whatever the setting is, or 5 degrees or whatever. But that would be a simple addition to the system. Very simple. And it would help heat the boilers up at the start because it would use a slightly higher firebox temperature to heat up the boilers. Once the boilers are heated up, then that contingency would go away and the firebox temperature would go down to its whatever it's set to. So there are ways of adjusting it. Oh, we do have a steam whistle, by the way. Got to kind of keep an eye on our steam pressure when I do that, though, because you can see it does drop. So here's our boiler pumps as well. We have them off, on, off. So you can see we're full on water now, and we're not full on pressure, and my speed's going to start to drop. So I'm going to bring my throttle back because we used up our steam. We used up our steam with the steam whistle. So I'm going to throttle back a little bit, which should give it a chance to build back steam. There it goes. You can see our steam pressure rising again. So then once our steam pressure gets back up, then I can go back to full. So you have to watch with your steam whistle, because you can really screw your system if you're not careful. You can get rid of all your steam, as it were. You can see my steam's dropping again, but we're maintaining speed because we still got water pressure. So you're going to see the water drop a little bit. You're going to see the steam come up a little bit. I think that's what's going to happen. Although I don't think that's going to happen fast enough. I got to drop it down. I probably went to full throttle too quickly. We'll drop it back down to give our steam time to build up again. There it goes. So just got to let that pressure build up. Don't over stress your steam system. There, she's starting to balance out again. You can see the water comes down, steam goes up, and then we can start to use that steam. Too fast. Back up just a little bit. Come on. There we go. Okay, I found the sweet spot. Our boiler temperature is still dropping, which is going to affect how much steam we generate. We're gonna let it settle out here for a little bit. We'll just run at 30. Or we're not at 30. What are we at? 21. Oh, speed is 30. Give her a little kick. The steam whistle also does another thing, which is if you get too much back pressure, you can use the steam whistle to actually get rid of that back pressure. And the back pressure is what causes a lot of problems in the steam systems. That was the problem I was having before, was I was building up back pressure, and that back pressure wouldn't let any water go into the boiler. As you can see right now, though, our boiler's got plenty of water in it. We've got 30 pounds of steam pressure. We're running pretty stable. Give her a little more throttle here. Bring her up a tiny bit. Keep an eye on our numbers. This is what the actual guys who are driving steam locomotives actually do. They make little adjustments, and then they watch their gauges. And if you've actually been in a steam engine, I love steam trains. If you've actually been in a steam train, like a real one, and you look, they'll have valves everywhere. There's going to be a whole pile of valves. They're going to be like some that are like this, some that are like the flip valves that are on pipes, and some are going to be like turn valves, like your turn knob on your on like a water pipe. So some of them will be like spin valves, some of them will be like slide valves like this, and some of them will be like the slide valves that are on the side of the pipe and they go up. And then they'll have gauges, and they'll have gauges everywhere. There'll be a gauge on this line, there'll be a gauge on that line, there'll be a gauge on a line over here, a gauge on a line over here, a gauge on a line over here. There'll be some gauges on lines over here. There'll be gauges everywhere, whole piles of gauges. And what you'll see is they'll have their hand on this lever, they'll have their hand on a lever over here, and then they'll be watching, and then all of a sudden they'll grab a lever over here and move it a little bit, and then they'll watch, and then they'll pull this lever here and watch, and then they'll pull this here and they'll watch, and just they'll be checking all the gauges, and they'll be pulling levers here and adjusting this lever and adjusting that lever and adjust. You ever seen an engineer in a steam train? They're magicians. They are magicians, because they'll see one number changing, and they'll be like, oh, this valve has to go that. And then they'll look and they go, okay, that one's fine. This number's changing. Okay, I got to adjust this. And then that number's that number's adjust this, and just to keep that train rolling. And It is amazing. They are wizards, and that is. I am sad to say that's a skill that's kind of fallen the wayside because now have diesel trains and all that where you just have basically this. Yeah, you have like a brake and you have a brake and you have a power, and you have a reverse, and that's about it. You got dynamic. You have your active brakes, your dynamic brakes or whatever, um, and your throttle, and that's basically all you have in the trains now. Some trains don't even have that anymore. Some trains just have a throttle. They have a throttle and a brake pedal, just like your car. There's a throttle lever and there's a brake pedal, and that's all they got. Um, so, I mean, it is what it is. And getting a train to be easier, I guess, is a good thing. But man, steam locomotives, there's something about them. There is something about them. And I know you got environmentalists who will be like, "Oh my God, look at all the smoke coming out of there! Ah, look at the black smoke! You're polluting the environment!" Blah, blah, blah. It's coal. It's coal. It's it's coal. Do you know what coal is? Do you have any idea what coal is? you, have, you have no idea what coal is? Yeah. Anyway, it's coal. Is coal pollution? Of course. Of course it's pollution. Anytime you burn anything, it's pollution. Even your batteries in your friggin' electric cars are pollution. It's all pollution. Your solar panels, they're pollution. Your wind farms, they're pollution. In more than one way. Wind farms actually produce noise pollution. Wind farms kill more birds than hunters do. So I mean, but you just gotta you gotta. There's something magical about a steam train. There's just something magical about them, and I'm so glad that I was able to get this one sorted to a point where it functions proper and it functions well. Because there's nothing quite like. I mean, my nuclear train blows this thing out of the way as far as speed goes, but I would rather drive this train in Stormworks than I would my nuclear train. I would rather take this to do cargo runs in my survival world. I would rather take this than my nuclear train, which my nuclear train is completely. I don't have to do anything. It has the same controls. It has a throttle, a brake, and a reverser. But I don't have to monitor. I don't have to sit here watching the steam pressure and watching the boiler temperatures and all that. I don't have to sit here watching all that with my nuke train. I just go full throttle and to hell with it. We're gone. We're flying up the rails doing 85, 90. Delivering cargo in like 30 seconds. Figuratively speaking, but it's nowhere near as fun as sitting here and watching these numbers and adjusting the throttle, and you see the black smoke coming out, and we're moving. You see the wheels just chugging along, spinning, and just driving. I absolutely wish that these had sound. They have no sound. It's so sad that these do not have any sound. There's no sound to these at all. And it would be so amazing if they added sound like that train, chugga chugga chugga. It would be so amazing if they added that to just make it sound like it's doing its thing. Because right now this train is quiet. Like you can see it moving. You can hear the pumps. The only noise we have is from the pumps and from the firebox. That's it. But it would be so awesome if they added like sound to the drive motors or the drive arms. These guys. Whoops. These guys at the front here. That guy right there with the two pipes going into it. I wish they would add sound to them, because a steam train has that kind of magical sound to it, that chugga 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 chugga. Everybody knows it. Chugga 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 choo choo. You know, everybody knows it. Everybody knows it, but they don't have it. They don't have that sound in Stormworks. There's no actual steam locomotive sound to go with the action of the wheels, and that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad. I really wish they would have added that. Oh, there's the inlet for the fireboxes, by the way. I kind of hid them under the cab here. So if you're wondering about the air for the fireboxes, there's where it's coming in. And then if I go in, you can see there's the valve right there that's controlling the firebox pressure. And there's another one behind that, but I can't see it because the storage is in the way. But oh, there it is. There's the valve right in front of the camera. So there's the valve for the one airbox. There's the valve for the other airbox. They're both back here, and you can see that microcontroller on the roof there. That is the averager to just average the temperature between the two boxes to send to the calculator. The pumps are under the floor. You can see the pumps under the fireboxes. There they are. There's a send and a return for both fireboxes. Both fireboxes have a send and both fireboxes have a return. There you can kind of see them right under the firebox. We have our desalinization plant underneath the floor still, so it's still there to fill up the water tank should we need to. And we have our pumps. Our pumps for that are still buried under the driver's seat. So everything's still there. Here's our water tank up front. You can see our water tank in use. Those particles that you see at the top there, those particles are there's no air particles, which is kind of interesting. There's no air particles from the air vent, but you can see the particles there, and those particles are from the condenser. The water coming back from the condenser. That's what those vents at the top there are for. And then the vents back there are for drawing water out to the boilers. Those are the vents way back at the back. So we have the condenser bringing water in here, and we have the boilers pumping the water out back there. And this is supposed to be pumping in air, but it's possible that it's not, because I have the tank spawning in full, and I don't actually know that water gets used up by a steam system, because you can actually see, if I go here, you can actually see the water tank is still at the very, very top of the storage. You can see there's no air gap at all at the top of the storage. So it's possible that there's no space for this thing to pump in air, which is why I'm not really getting any effect off of it. I might want to maybe set the tank to be, 90% full, maybe. That's still a shit ton of water there. That's still a lot of water. Even at 90%, it would be just a ton of water. I don't think we'd ever actually run out. But we do have our fill. We do have our little fill, our little fill hose in case we do, and our little desalinization system in case we do actually get low on water. But yeah, so far, look at that. I mean, our train's running fine. We're not quite at full yet. I'm gonna up it just a little more, because I think it's balanced out enough to bring it back up to full. We're at full. Keep an eye on our steam pressure, because our boilers are still not hot. Well, they're hot, but they're not as hot as when we were running earlier. So you can see our steam pressure is decreasing a little bit here, so I'm going to back it off again. Just to 30 is too much. Full open 30 is too much, so we'll leave it there. We're still losing a little bit. 27. That should maybe stabilize it. we're still losing a bit. But you can see our boiler temperature still... We're still having issues with our boiler temperature. It's coming down. Uh-oh. Low coal? Where's our coal? We're at 220. We have 229. How are we at low? We have 229 coal still. What did I set that for? 50%? What did I set that warning for? 50%? We still got a lot of coal. Anyway, this might be a good time to show you the coal system. Just to get the light to stop complaining. So I'll bring our throttle down, and you'll see our speed. Our speed decreases pretty quick for a train. Put the brakes on. Why am I getting a low coal warning at 225? That's kind of silly. Alright, but I'll show you the coal system. So we'll flip the switch, and you'll see our arm come out, and then you'll see coal start dropping into the thing here. I don't know what our maximum coal actually is. 400 and something, I think. There you go. You can see that the coal floods into there, and then it floods into here. I haven't really tested the system fully yet. So this is kind of the test. I don't know if coal's going to get stuck over there or not. I don't know if I know what happens when this gets full. I know what happens. It just starts piling up coal on top. So I'm hoping we got a... Oh, these start full. That's why they're at 135. So when we hit 400, I'll shut the system off. There, our warning light's gone out. And I probably could do this while we're still going down the track, but I just stop here just to... So we'll do this until we get to 400. There we go. We'll shut her down. And there we go. And I wish I could see down into the... I don't know if we had any spillage there or not. I don't think so. Oh, I can't actually see down there because it's... I don't think we had any spillage there. I don't think we lost anything there. If so, it's kind of designed to catch it and put it back in itself. So hopefully we're good there. But anyway, oh, we're back to our boiler temp's back up because we're stopped. Our coolant temperature. Our coolant is so cold it's starting to freeze. Nah. I'm hoping that doesn't cause an issue. Oh no. Oh, I got my brakes on. Shit. Brakes off. Come on. Let's go. Our coolant is actually in the negative. Oh my gosh. This could be a bad thing. I actually need it to heat up. I need my coolant pumps to run so it'll heat it up. That's hilarious. That is absolutely freaking hilarious. Alright, we're ripping along. And we'll get her to... We'll see if we can get her to full open and keep it there. I don't think we can because our boiler temperature is going to drop again. Probably. We're probably going to lose boiler temperature again, having it wide open. Maybe? Maybe not. Oh, our coolant's coming up. Yay! We're not freezing anymore. That's hilarious. That's hilarious that it dropped that low. It's not reading the temperature of the radiators. It's reading the temperature of the actual coolant in the condensers. Our condensers were frozen. You can see our boiler temperature's dropping again because now we're cycling coolant again. we're taking heat out of the boilers, and the heat is going into the coolant. So that's why our boiler temperature is dropping. And we're going to start to have pressure issues again. You can see our steam pressure is dropping, so I'm going to have to bring this back. I think 27 was where we were at. Something like that. And that stabilized it. We're still moving at a respectable speed. We're still 35. Where are we on the map? I wonder. Are we... Oh, we are getting close to icebergs. We're getting close to icebergs, man. That's not a long trip at all, or I shouldn't say it's not a long trip. It didn't take very long for us to get up here. We still have a ton of coal. You can see our water has come down, so we are losing water in the system. We're at 8740, where we started at basically 9,000. So we lost about maybe about 100. No, we lost about a bit 200. We're down about 200 water, which could have been from my steam whistle blowing. I wasn't really watching it that closely. Look at our battery. Our generators never run, and our battery's still at 93%. So we're not actually using a hell of a lot of power here, because most of the power that's used in builds is via the actual motors. So if you have electric motors on your vehicle, that's why your battery drops so fast. Pumps and all that don't really use that much power. I mean, they do. They use power, but not as much as you would think. Because, like you can see, I've got 4 pumps. When the heat pumps are on, I have 4 pumps under this floor. 2 here, 2 here, that are running when those heat pumps. Just when those heat pumps are on. That's 4 pumps. When the steam is on, I have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pumps running when the steam's going. So right now I have 6 pumps plus the 4 under the floor, so that's 10 pumps. Oh, plus the 2 up front at the very front, so that's another 2 pumps. That's 12 pumps running right now. I have 12 electric pumps running right now, and my battery is not dropping that fast. So when you're looking at your build and you're trying to figure out where your power usage is, pumps really aren't that big of a power usage. They're not a power hog. Your biggest power hog is going to be electric motors. So if you are running electric motors to run an electric pump, or to run I should say a torque pump, you're going to go through a hell of a lot more power doing that than if you were to just use the regular pumps. Because see, I just dropped 0.1%. So I'm 93.2 now. So yeah, that's where you're going to lose your power. Is you're going to lose your power in actual motors, electric motors. They just chew through power. And I'm not using any electric motors on this train. I don't have a single electric motor. I even have the electric connectors at the back here that are on. I used electric motors to move, or not motors. I used the electric what are those things called? The sliders, the electric sliders to move that arm in and out. So those were running in 93.1. So. Really, and look at, I can actually look at the clock and you can see my power usage. Look at my power usage. It's barely going down. In fact, I could probably keep that topped up with a solar panel, with one of the large solar panels. I could probably keep that topped up with just putting a solar panel up on the roof, which I do not have right now, by the way. I did have a solar panel on here, I think, in my earlier build, did I not? I think I had a solar panel on the back here, or was that the that might have been the nuke train that had the solar panel on the back. But yeah, no solar panel. If I put a solar panel on the roof, it would probably keep that battery topped up. You can see it's going down. It's going down pretty slow. And then, like I said, it only takes about somewhere between 10 to 30 seconds for the generator to charge it back up again. So we're gonna actually make it. We're gonna make it all the way to the Arctic. There's ice. There's the ice. I haven't been up to the Arctic in a very long time. Um, but yeah, just this little steam train demo here. We are up to the Arctic. Did I see a slip there? Did I actually have a wheel slip, or was that just a glitch? That might have just been a glitch. I thought I saw the game freeze just for a second, and then I had a wheel slip. Just one little split second of wheel slip when the game unfroze, and I think that's what that. I think that's what it was. It was the game freeze that caused the wheel slip. But yeah, we're chugging along. We got our full coal car behind us, and I mean, success. We have steam train success. Um, so I mean, I gotta give props to the community on Discord. Got to give them some huge props. If you are having issues with a build, and don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. There are some pretty big jerks on there, but for the most part, the people that are on there are helpful. Um, you won't always get an answer to your question. You won't always get an answer to your question right away either. You have to be patient, um, and you have to be respectful. It is a it is a community, and that community does not really cater to disruption. So if you come in there and you're just disruptive and you're annoying and you're asking the same question 500 times in a row because nobody answered, you're never going to get an answer. If you go in there and you ask a question, just be very respectful, um, and ask your question, and you'll get an answer. You'll get an answer every time. It might, like I said, it might not be an answer right away. You might have to wait for a while. You might have to wait a day, or you might have to, wait a couple hours, because this isn't a job. It's not their job. They're just there, and sometimes they're not even there. Sometimes they're not even there. Sometimes they're logged into their Discord and they're not even there. So take it with a grain of salt. Go there, be respectful, be kind, be um, you know you're going there for help. So don't go there making demands, kind of. So when I went there and I asked my questions, I gave the information that I needed to give. Um, I said the problem that I'm having, and I got back some suggestions here and there, for things for me to try. And I took those suggestions and I tried them. I didn't say, okay, I don't know how to do that, or can you come and show me how to do that, or whatever. Because then I'm asking even more of them, and I'm just gonna be happy they gave me an answer. Like the one guy told me, try pressurizing your water system, and he actually showed me the way that I showed you with the tank, the tank with the pump attached or with the air pump attached to it, and just slowly shooting air or slowly shooting water into the system to build up pressure on the back end. And from that information that he gave me, that's when I put the pump up here, the air pump, to try to pressurize my tank, to try to pressurize this tank. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I see what he's saying, and he's knowledgeable. He knows it works. What he's telling me, it's not really going to work for my build, but I'm not going to go back to him and say, oh, well, your information is useless. I'm going to take that information that he gave me, and I'm going to see if I can apply it in some way to my build, um, before I go back and say, well, I'm still having a problem. But I'm not. It's running good. And the same thing with the 30%. Um, I went there and I said, you know what? As soon as I get to a certain point, I lose all steam pressure and it just fails. And the one guy came out and said, don't go higher than 30%. Um, So I haven't gone higher than 30%. My train's running fine. I set my maximum. I set my max throttle to 30%. Now my train runs fine. Because, like I said, this is knowledge that they had that I didn't. And they probably learned it off of somebody else, or they probably learned it off a forum or something like that. And away you go. You take their information, and you apply it. You still got to use your own brain. They're not gonna baby you and do it for you. You still have to use your own brain. But and the same thing with the coding that balanced it out. I went to the Discord and I said, you know what? Here's the code that I wrote. I know there might be a better way of doing this. Could anybody give me some pointers, because I can't get my temperature to balance out in my firebox. I'm trying to set a specific temperature in my firebox and I can't get it to balance out. And then the one guy came in and he says, well, why aren't you using a PID? And I was like, well, because a PID is going to fluctuate. Still, it's still going to fluctuate too much, because I've had experience with PIDs, and I know if I use a regular PID, like, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I know if I use a regular PID, it's going to be like 120, and then it's going to go up to like 240, and then it's going to come down to 120, and then go up to 230, and then 120, and then it's going to be so swinging so wild that I'm almost better the way that I was controlling it. I said, and that's what I said to him. I said, a PID is going to be, it's going to do the job. It's going to try to keep it at that temperature, but it's going to swing wildly, probably more wildly than my current numbers are swinging. And so the guy was like, oh yeah, well, yeah, if you use the regular PIDs, but how about you try this? And he popped the code. Actually, he wasn't the first one. Another guy threw in some code. He said, why don't you try this? And I tried it, and I was like, oh, that's much better. And it was just that one string of code that I had in there that I deleted at the start of this video. That was the code that he gave me. And I was like, well, it's running a lot. It's running a lot better, but it's still bouncing. Like, the numbers are still bouncing pretty good. I think I had it down to, it was like 20 degrees or 25 degrees. It would go over 25, and then it would go under 25. Then it would go over 25, and then it would go under. But it never settled on even close to the temperature that I was setting the firebox at. It would not settle on that temperature. So that was when the other guy came in. I believe it was Trapdoor was the name that he goes by. And he said, well, try this code. And he gives me, and that's when he pasted that code. He said, try this. It should hopefully stabilize it, and if it doesn't, we can tweak it a little bit. I was like, okay, so I tried that code, and that code is actually balancing it very, very well. And that's why I told him. I said, hey, man, you solved this problem. And I went back and I thanked him. That's important. That's the important part of this community. You don't just take. You go back and you apply, gratitude to these people, because that they're going to remember that. So he solved the problem. He solved the problem with the balancing of the firebox. I worked out pretty much everything else, but he solved the problem of balancing the firebox, which is where I was stuck. I went back to him and I said, hey man, that really helped. That really got everything sorted. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much. And he appreciated that. He's like, hey, no problem. Anytime, man. And so the next time I go there with a problem, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember that, hey, this guy came here with a problem, and he was very grateful when we helped him. He's an adult. He's not acting like a child. He's not here to take. He's here to actually add to our community. And that's how you build that kind of a relationship. And I've hung out there myself and handed out information to people who were things that I knew that they would be like, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I'm having trouble with this, I'm having trouble with that, and I'd be like, hey, try this out. It's the same thing. That's how you build a community that is actually helpful, and not a community that is, focused on their own self-interest. and that's how you become a part of that community as well. Getting involved. Don't just go there to ask questions. Go there to, help people out. If somebody asks a question you know the answer to, maybe just say, hey, I've tried this and it seems to work. Might work for your application, maybe not, but you might send them on the right direction. It might not be exactly what they're asking for, and you might not be hand holding, but you're giving them something to think about. And just giving them something to think about usually will lead somebody down a path. So this is the steam train build completed. It is it's fully functional. I have the like I said, I got the connectors on here now. You can see it's fully functional. It runs just fine. We haven't had any issues. We haven't had any slip ups. Nothing's getting stuck. Nothing's you have to monitor your pressures. You have to adjust your throttle accordingly, and you're not always going to be wide open at almost 40. You're going to have to back it down a little bit. If you lose boiler temperature, you got to back it down a little bit to keep your pressure right. So, and that's how steam trains operate in the real world. So it's yeah, I'm very satisfied with how this turned out. And like I said, I'm going to start using this train in my survival builds. Or my survival world, to do some train runs. Now, my survival stuff is, I'm going to say unfortunately, but it's not something I stream. Just because I never know when I'm going to have a chance to play it, and I never know how long I'm going to play. And sometimes when I'm in my survival world, I'll jump into, I'll hit a point where I'm like, oh, well, I ran into a problem. Let's jump back to creative, build something, and then load up survival again and use it. So right now, I'm working on a base for my survival world. I don't have the money in the survival world to afford the base yet. But I'm building the base as I run into things out in the in the world. I'm applying them to this base that I'm building. Like for example, this steam train. I learned some things from the steam train that I could apply to my base, and mostly to have to do with pumping, how fluids work, that kind of stuff. So, and then I'll go to my base and I'll be like, because my base has a oil processing facility on it. So I'll go to my base and then I'll be like, oh, okay, well this, things run better if you put pressure behind them. So maybe I'll put a tank after my I'll just put an empty tank after my pumps. So my pumps will pump into a tank, then pressurize that tank, and that pressure will continue on down the line. So when I open the valve for to actually make some oil, or make some fuel, I should say, process some oil into fuel, it'll have pressure behind, like there'll be pressure in the line because I've got pressurized tanks along the line, and it'll get the fluid there faster. So there's all kinds of, and not opening valves all the way, maybe open valves to 50% to maintain that pressure, or 30% to maintain that pressure in the line. And you actually end up getting more fluid than if you were to crank it wide open. So I'm learning a lot about variable valves, how to keep pressure in lines, which I can then apply to other builds. For example, it's not, like I said, it's not always the best option to open a valve all the way. And that's why there's variable valves in this game. That's why they've given us valves that we can just on off, but they've also given us variable valves that we can fluctuate. We could set what they're at to maintain pressure in our lines, and we can monitor the pressure in our lines using pressure monitors. Which is what I'm doing. That boiler pressure, this steam pressure is not the pressure in the boiler. We used to have boiler pressure. We used to have a reading for boiler pressure. When the pressure got above 10, it would blow up. The boiler would blow up. They got rid of that because they realized it was a bad system. So now what we have is we have line pressure instead of boiler pressure. So there's no more pressure reading in the boiler that we can read, that we can actually read. There is. I mean, you can look at a boiler while it's operating, and you can see the pressure that's in the boiler, or the steam that's in the boiler, I should say. It's not necessarily pressure, it's steam. You can see the steam that's in the boiler. So just like I can see the water that's in the boiler here, I can see the steam that's in the boiler. But that doesn't tell me the pressure of the steam. That just tells me that I have 170 steam in the boiler. It's a fluid number. It's not a pressure number. So it'll say you have 170 steam in the boiler, and you'll be sitting there going, okay, well, what does that mean? And it doesn't actually mean anything. That's not pressure. That's just steam. That's just a number. Pressure is your actual capability of doing mechanical work, and that's what this number's from, which is read in the pipe just outside the boiler. So this is actually what we have to work with, this number down here. When this number reaches 0, we can't do anything because we have nothing to work with. So if that number reaches 0, it doesn't matter if we have 170 in our boiler. If we have no steam pressure, we have no pressure in the lines, and we can't do anything. So this is the number we actually have to keep an eye on, is the pressure in the lines, not how much steam we have. Because we can have, like I said, we can have 170 steam, but we can have no pressure because we've opened the valves. We got the valves fully open, 170 steam in the tank, but nothing in the lines because it can't build up pressure. There's no back valve to let the pressure build. So learning that on this steam train, I can now apply that to other things, because now I can look at, how much can a pump, and when I find out how much a pump can pump, then I go, okay, I don't want to open my valve more than that pump can pump, because then I'm going to lose pressure in the line. It's not going to flow as nicely as if I have pressure in the line. So say one of these pumps is only capable of pumping at say 30. It can only pump at 30 pressure, but when you open a valve, it allows 60 through. Well, you're not going to get any flow. Your flow is going to be really low. So your whatever you're pumping, your water or your oil or your fuel, whatever you're pumping, isn't going to be pumped as effectively. Uh-oh, we're coming up on our first switch here, and I don't know what it's set to. Hopefully it's not going to send off. Okay, we're fine. Oh, I don't want 30. I want to go 25. I came up on a switch there, and I was like, oh, where are we going? Oh, and here's another switch. Okay, this is going to send us somewhere. Brakes, 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 brakes. Woo! Oh, that slows down fast. Okay, those brakes are amazing. Those brakes are freaking amazing. All right, let's bring our speed up just a tiny bit here. Let's find out what's going on here, because we could get sent right side. Okay, so that's going to have us turn and head over there. And I don't necessarily know if I want to do that. I want to find a spot where I can actually turn this train around. So brakes on. We'll stop here. We'll take a quick look at our map, because we are like way up here now. Okay, so if I want to actually turn around, I think I have to go into here, because I think this loops around this. No, it doesn't. It comes in here, and it goes out there, but it doesn't actually. Okay, where's a turnaround? That doesn't look like a turnaround either. There's got to be a spot where it comes in. Yeah, see, that goes straight in. Okay, so there's got to be a spot where it gives me a turnaround of some kind. That goes up into there, which is going to be a straight track. That's going to be a straight track. That's going to be a straight track. Where the hell's a turnaround? There's got to be a turnaround.
There's got to be a place where the line comes in. Oh, maybe... Okay, so there's a terminal here. There's got to be a place where the track comes in that you can then back down again. And there's another terminal up here. Okay, let's head up. Let's head up to this island, because there might be a turnaround somewhere here. Basically, all the turnaround is it's kind of like a split like this, but it'll have another connection here, so it'll be like this. So then you can bring your train up here, you can back it down here, and then go forward again. And I can't really tell if this island has one of those, although it does have two terminals. It has a terminal here, which this might be a dead end. Although I think this is a track that comes. Well, is that a track or a road bridge? That could be a road bridge there, and it could be a road bridge there. In which case, that would be a dead end. And this would also be a dead end. So I'm not really sure. Because that could be two bridges here. That could be a road, and that could be a road that come up to the airstrip. But I think this island might be our best bet. If this is man, if this is a rail here, this might be what I'm looking for. But I don't think that's a rail. I don't think that's a rail. Doesn't really look like a rail. So I guess I'm gonna head up to terminal Trinite, whatever. Trinite? Actually, you know what? I could teleport here because I'm currently in creative. So I can teleport here and see what I got. So I have... Okay, this dead ends. This dead ends with no way of turning around by the looks of it. So even if I brought my train up here, I would not have any way to turn it around because there's no turntable or anything like that in this game that I know of. And this is just a split system here that does not do any kind of feeding back on itself. Okay, so this is not going to be, that's not going to work. Let's try terminal endo, which I think is probably going to be the same thing. I think it's probably going to be a dead end. Yeah, we have dead end here. Dead end, dead end, dead end, and dead end. So we have full dead ends on here. There's no back line here, so that's not going to work. Let's see what happens at this intersection here, because I don't think this is going to be a... No, it just splits. It just splits to go one way or another, so there's no way to turn around here. This is... I'm guessing this is definitely a road here. Yep. Okay, so that's road. What about up here at this oil plant? I think this kind of looks like a road, but I don't think it is. Oh no, it's rail. Okay. So we have rail coming up here, coming to an end point as well. A full stop end point. There's no turnaround here either. It just comes up to an end of rail. Damn, there's got to be a turnaround somewhere. There's got to be a place you can turn around. What the heck is that? That's weird. It's just straight rail. It just looks weird on the map. Okay. That is so weird that there's no place to turn around. Usually the Arctic has a place to turn around. This comes straight into two stops. I mean, we've got switchbacks so we can get on the right side of the train, the rail. But it's really weird that there's no there's no intersection that has a place that you can like back this way. That doesn't make any sense. So we've been there. That's road. That's rail. Have we checked this one yet? I think this is just a straight in too. Yeah, this is just a straight to an end of line too. So they have you back all the way. They have you back up all the way to the friggin'. That's not right. Although this is where you buy all your fluids. You can buy your diesel and all that stuff here. You got your, what is this, jet fuel, you got your diesel, you got your oil, and then this should be, what is this? Propellant. Interesting. Okay. So this is where you go. This is where you can buy all that stuff. Can you sell here? Oh, you can sell. Sell price $2 for diesel. You can only buy oil. You can sell for $2 there. Ooh, sell price $4. Nice. You know what'd be really cool? If I made a train car. If I made a train car that had a processing plant on it. So it has a if I were to make a train car that had a what the hell's it called? A tower that processes oil into fuel. Which I have. I don't have a train car, but I have that design. If I could take that design, put it onto a train car, I could bring it up here. I could pull oil from here at $1. I could process and sell instantly both the diesel and the jet fuel. So it'd be like, I would be just standing, I would have my train car right here, hooked up to those 3 lines, and just be making money. I wonder if that would work. I think I just discovered my next build. I wonder if that would work. And yes, I think I just discovered my next build. I'm gonna hook oil up to there, because I don't think you buy it from here. I don't think this is where you buy it. I think this is where you sell it. I think you buy it from there. So I need the old fluid connector. I need the old fluid connector for buying, because I think that's what that is. And then I need the hose connector for selling. I'm pretty sure that's the old fluid connector. Let me bring that down. This is fun. Yeah, that's definitely the old fluid connector. Okay, so I need the old fluid connector for the oil. And then I need the new fluid connectors for the selling. Or can I wonder if I can. I wonder if it just detects whether you're pumping in or out. Not sure. But that would be a good thing. That would be a fun thing to try. Maybe that'll be my next video. Maybe in my next video I'll see about converting that plant that I have into putting it on a train car, so I could bring it up here and process. I'll buy oil at 1, and I'll sell the diesel and jet fuel. Jet fuel sells at 4 and diesel sells at 2. So I'd be buying at 1 and I'd be selling at 2 and 4. Although, honestly, you don't get the same amount. Honestly, like the oil, you lose a lot when you convert the oil into the diesel and the jet fuel. You don't actually get the same amount of fluid. You lose some, but I think you'd make money. I think that would be something interesting to try. Okay, anyway, back to what I'm doing here, or trying to do, is I'm trying to figure out a way to turn around.
And I don't see a way to turn around because this is definitely split with no backflow. This is a split with no backflow, and this is a split with no backflow. So where the hell do you turn around? And this is a straight through. There is no turnaround, which is shitty. So that means you got to run reverse the whole way back. Unless there's something on this, maybe there's something on the island. I doubt it though. Oh! I missed. My teleport missed. Unless there's, oh no, I came into a tunnel. Unless there's some kind of, wait, what's? Okay, there's signals there. There's no signals. There's signals there. What are those signals for? Because they are like right here. Unless those are just switchback signals to one side to the other. I'm betting that's what they are. Yeah, they're just switchback signals. Damn. Okay, so let's see. That looks like a straight line from there to there. And then when it comes out of that, it looks like a straight line up to here. Doesn't look like there's any kind of deviation on this line at all. It's just straight. Dang. Can't believe there's nowhere to turn around. Like, this is the first time I've ever found an Arctic. Mind you, like I said, I don't always come up to the Arctic, but this is the first time I've actually been to the Arctic where there hasn't been a turnaround. That's road. That's road. That's road all the way to there. And then rail out. So there is no turnaround. Shit. I gotta run reverse all the way back. Well, crap. Well, I'm not gonna do that right now. But I'm just saying, when I come up here, there's gonna be no way to turn my train around. And I think this is not the same world as my survival world, so I'm gonna have to check my survival world. But that's pretty. That's cool. What's there? Survey base. What's on the survey base? I've never been there. Oh! This is neat. This is very neat. Look at this. I wish we had access to this kind of stuff. Like this, all this decorating stuff. I wish we had access to that. Because that'd be neat to, like, look at this whiteboard. That'd be so neat to put in my own base, you know? And look at all this stuff. We don't have access to any of this stuff in our game. A bench vise? Look at that. I love these doors. Again, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that we don't have access to, like this handle. And this door. I think this door is made with the door hinges, but I don't know. And then we come up to this door. This is very, very cool. Dartboard. Look at this. Couches. We don't have access to any of this stuff when we're building our builds. That really sucks. Because that would be cool if we could actually decorate our bases, you know, the way that they decorate their bases. What's upstairs? Observation deck? Oh, wait. Oh! This is so cool. And a lounge? Look at this lounge. Like, come on. This is wild. This is awesome. And a workout room. Look at all the workout equipment. Ah. You know, if only if only we could do this with our bases wouldn't look like shit. Like, this is amazing. Okay. Look, actual computer monitors with mouse and keyboard. Look at that. Like, even if we had, even if we just had placeables, like even if we just look at the light switch. Like, even if we just had, and you can't tell me this stuff isn't in the game because it's all frickin' right here. All of this stuff is here. Like, even lab equipment. Look at that. That's a defib. I'm thinking that's a defib. I mean, that's a medical bed, which we don't have. You know, we have our medical bed, but we don't have a medical bed that looks like that. We don't have, you know, propane cylinders or anything like that. We don't have sinks in that. Like, this is amazing. And even if, like I said, even if they gave us this stuff and it was just static objects, you know, they didn't do anything. There's a regular bed. But even if they were just like static objects that we could just, like a laptop, you know, you just place the laptop in the build mode and it's there, but it doesn't actually, it's not functional. Same with the lamp, you know, you just place it and it's there. It's not functional, you know. Even if they gave us that option to place some of these objects, like the chairs and all that, like, not functional. I wouldn't care if they were functional or not. It's just the fact that you can place them. There's a camera on the shelf there, for fuck's sakes. The fact that you can place them, like, give us a set of, maybe give us a set of shelves like this, like just a straight set of shelves, and then give us like maybe a few variations of them. So like this one, like where it's got a camera on it, or maybe a shelf that's got, you know, some bottles on it, or maybe like this. Give us this shelf so we can just place this shelf. You know, maybe give us a few variations of shelves that we can place. Or like maybe give us this shelf that's got a few books on it. You know, it doesn't have to be fantastically, you know, that we can put our own stuff on the shelves. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just something graphical that we can add to make it look nice, to make like the inside of a base look nice. Look at these lights. You can't tell me those are not our default lights. Those are special lights that they've added. Yeah, mission expired. Yeah, don't worry about missions in this one because I never save. I never save this game. every time I save the vehicles, but I never save the game. I always just exit the main menu and it's like, would you like to save? And I'm like, nope. I would not like to save. Because I just start this one fresh every time I start this one. Look at the flags leading up to the entrance. Like, this is amazing. See, I've never been there. Never been there. Now I've been there. But still, that doesn't solve our... What the... A bow rider boat in distress? Up here? You're gonna stay in distress, buddy, because I got no way to get to you from the train from the train. But anyway, I think that's gonna bring our train episode to an end, or our train series to an end. I'm gonna do one more thing before we're done here, and that is put our pump here in the water, because I have not tried this system out yet, so I don't even know if this works yet. I don't even know if this can pump into the lake. So we'll try this, and it's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to bring it down here and then get it up there. I haven't successfully done that yet. So we'll grab this handle and we'll bring it up and we'll get it onto the ledge here. Oh, it's having an issue. Why is it having an issue? I think it's getting stuck under the train or something. What's going on here? Okay, you know what? Let's just set that to line out. And we'll grab our handle and we'll just come this way with it, out the back of the train. We should be able to get this over the ledge. Here. I don't think we'll actually be able to recover it, because I think once it's in the water, I think it's going to stay there, or it's going to go under. It's going to go under the bridge, and we're not going to be able to get it out. So now it's dangling under the bridge. I don't think we're going to ever get that back now. Why are our wheels turning? The brakes should be on. Oh, I didn't open my gate. Ah! Okay, so I think it's in the water. It's in the water. Okay. That's what I was trying to get up there to see. So we're in the water. We turn that on. And we'll see if our water goes up. Oh, it is. Look at that. Look at that. We're filling our water tank. Nice. So that works. It's working. And that is going through the desalinization system. So we have the water coming up. We have it going through our desalinization tank or system there, and it should be bubbling out over there. Yeah, look at that. That's where the fresh water gets dumped in. So it's working. Huzzah! Now our water's going up. It's going up very slowly, but it's going up. So nice. Brakes are on full. That's throttle. I had the throttle ahead still. And we're low coal again. Why are we low coal again? Where's our coal? 215. We're not low coal. But oh, why is this on? Or why is this out? Why is this forward? That shouldn't be. Uh-oh. Now we're in the water. That shouldn't be forward. Why is that forward? Did something happen? Does this not have power? Or? No, it's power. So why is that forward? That should not be forward. That should be back. And it's not going back. I think something glitchy happened when I teleported away and then teleported back. That should not be forward. This thing should be back. And it appears to be stuck. It does not appear to be reacting to the on and off toggle. Because at its current position, it should be dumping coal. It should be triggering the switch. I don't have any way to get up there and get back there. Here. I need to put a ladder on the side of it, maybe. Because I don't have a way to get into the top to see what's going on. Oh, maybe I can see from my seat. Maybe I can see if I sit down on this seat and go to the exterior view. Maybe I can see what's going on in there. Okay, so I can't really see it. No, I can't see. Oh wait, there's the rails. Okay, there's the rails, but I can't see the button. Can't see the button if it's being pushed or not. Oh wait, can't I? I'm in creative. Can I go if I press home? And then, yeah, then I can walk through things. Okay. So where is the switch? Where's the switch here? Where's the switch? Wait. Where's the switch? Is that forward all the way? That's forward all the way. That switch should be toggled. Oh, there it is. So it's forward all the way. The switch is not being pushed in. There's a gap there. At least it looks like there's a gap there. Yeah, it looks like there's a gap here just big enough for that switch to not be pressed. Like I said, there's that switch. Oh no, it's... Wait, that's gone through the switch. front edge of that has gone through the switch. The switch is not depressed because the switch is actually through that, the front of that. It looks like the switch glitched into the funnel system, and that's why. Okay, that's probably why it can't go back, because it's stuck. It's stuck. See, the switch is there. Something happened. She's all the way forward without pushing the switch in. Or the switch broke off. I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. But that right there is the switch. Which is built into this wall. So I don't know what's happening right now. It's definitely glitched. But yeah, I have no way how, I don't know how we'd fix that. It's definitely glitched, so you can't teleport away from the train or weird shit happens. Like your switches get stuck in your other things. Anyway, so this is definitely working, and I guarantee you we're not going to be able to bring it up. Oh, actually, you know what? There might be a way. There might be a way to bring it up. I'd have to detach it from here. So once I see it starting to stress, I'll detach it from here, and then see if I can swing it out and connect it back up again. We'll just see if that'll work. Because when I detach it from here, I should be holding the line in my hand. There it's good. Okay, so now it's starting to stress. Okay, so let's grab that. Okay, and see if I can swing it out. I can't swing it out. Okay, but I can pick it back up here. So I can grab it, but I can't. Oh. Oh, because it's jammed into the bottom of the. It's jammed into the bottom of the bridge. Okay, I took too long. I took too long to disconnect it. Okay. Well, obviously there's some work to do there, just to make it, maybe shape it so it'll, when it comes back up, it'll properly come up, you know, the side of the bridge. Because it looks like it's right on the edge there. It looks like it actually made it past the flat section and onto the rounded section. So if I do that, it might actually fix it, and make it so it can come up. Either that, or I build some kind of extension so that this winch swings out, which that wouldn't be too difficult to do either. Just put a hinge here or something like that, and just have the winch swing out over the edge, so it can lower it down and bring it back up and swing back in. That'd be actually very easy to do. So I might look into maybe doing that, because that's going to be down below the seat here. So I'm not gonna lose my wall. It's going to be down below in this area down here. So it'll just swing out, lower the winch down, gather the water, and then swing back up, or raise the line back up and swing back in. But yeah, our coal warning's going off because our coal's down. We can't fix that because our coal thing is stuck. So I mean, I could take coal out and put it in manually, but I'm not doing that for, you know, hundreds of coal. I can do that for a few coal, but I'm not doing it for hundreds of coal. So the things that we've learned: can't teleport from the train to anywhere else because which we're not going to do, I'm not going to do that in the survival world anyways. But you can't teleport from the train because teleporting from the train causes it to break. At least the causes the cart to break. So that's a thing. Causes the button to break. So that's a thing. And you can't
you can't drop the water thing in because you won't be able to get it back. So I'll have to fix up a way for that to happen. But yeah, we can shut her down. All of our warnings go away. Everything goes away, except our low coal. Our low coal light is going to keep running for as long as we have a low coal situation, because that there does not reset. That stays going. Because I want you to, even when the system's off, I want you to see if you have low water or low coal. It's going to flash. It's going to blink at you. It's going to blink at you. It's going to tell you you got a problem. But anyways, oh, well, we're cold. We still have a little bit of steam. We still have steam. So, just to show you that reverse does work, I'll shut off the brake here and we'll put her in reverse and we'll give her a little bit of throttle. And our steam's going to go way down because our boiler doesn't have any pressure to it. So our steam's going to go down fast here. But we will get a reverse. There you go. So you can see we do have reverse in this thing. But our steam's gonna die because we're not hot. So we're gonna make that happen. Make that happen. Here, look at our steam going down. Ah, we're out of steam. And this thing, I thought maybe banging around might fix it, but it's not. It is definitely broke. Definitely broke. But you can see that it would still work. It would still work while we're moving. Because it has extended and it's right over top of the hopper. So it would work while we're going down the rail. It's just right now it won't work because the button's stuck. The button's broke. Oh, and we're on the right side of the track because we crossed the crossover there. But anyways, yeah, she'll pick up steam again here, and we'll be going again. Look at that, we're still moving. But we don't have the coal to make it back, I don't think. And I'm not going to try anyways. I'm actually now very interested in trying to make that fuel processing plant. I am very interested in that. So, yeah. Well, now you can actually see what's going on here. You can see that it's that arm slides forward and it closes in a nice little area here for the coal to be dumped in. And then there's a pickup over here just in case some coal somehow gets falls outside. It'll go back into the main system. But yeah, I don't know why that button got screwed up just by teleporting around. It's kind of weird. That arm should not have gone forward. It's not built to be forward. It would have had to move forward on its own while we were teleporting or something. I don't know. I didn't leave it filling coal, did I? I don't even know how that thing got forward. Unless it slid forward when we stopped. Did that maybe slide forward when we stopped? I don't know. I swear I have that thing set to go backwards. Like it's set to constantly be holding backwards when we're not doing anything. So I don't know why it slid. Yeah. Let's do a very quick check before I bring this video to an end, and just see what happens. So when that is off, that should be set to pull back. It should be constantly pulling it back. Let me do a quick look at the motors and a quick look at the system. Excuse me. So where is our controller for that? Our controller for that, for these, I think is this guy? No. Those are composites. This guy. So let me check the logic on him, because he's the one that's controlling the motors. So let me check the logic on him. And that should be, it should be -1. It should be +1 and it should be -1. So what do we have? We have, the negative should be -1. Well, you know what? Let's, because I don't want it to use up a lot of power. So maybe 0.5. I don't want it using a lot of power to do its thing, because these motors, even when it's set to be pulled back, this motor's still going to be running, which is a pain in the ass. I don't know why they don't make it so that there's like brake application when these aren't running, that they have some kind of brake application. Because right now, you either have to leave them on full or forward, or leave them on reverse, depending on where you want them to be. There's no stop. There's no telling it. Like if I set it 0, it just moves freely. So I'm gonna keep them at 0.5, which is half power. And that is, I'm not even gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna update it, because there is no resaving that. Okay, so that should keep these motors working at 0.5, pushing backwards when nobody's here. Another problem that might happen is I should have a keep alive block on this thing, and I don't. So I'm gonna sneak one in here, because there should definitely be a keep alive block on this vehicle for when you teleport away. So we'll do that, and that should affect that, because it's all one unit. But you know what? Just in case it doesn't, I'm gonna err on the side of caution, and I'm gonna put a keep alive block in here too. Just err on the side of caution, just making sure that everything stays working while we're not around. Okay, and that should fix that. And then the only other thing I have to do is put this on a swing arm so it swings out, which again, not going to be a big problem, because you see here this comes down to there, which is here, I think. So I should be able to grab this and swing it out, because that'll be behind the console, which I can cover up. I can put, if I need to, I can put another layer. Here, and then on the back side of this, I can put a hose. So where I have that coming in here, and going to the pumps, what I could do is, instead of that, I could have over here I could have a fluid port here connected to a hose that goes to there, instead of having that pipe to there. Like that pipe coming straight down, I could have a fluid hose here that would stretch there. So that would not be a hard thing to do at all. I would probably separate this here and this, and put my hinge here, and then I would separate it here to have that swing out. Which again, not a hard thing to do. It's a fairly easy thing to do, and then all I would need to put down here is a button to have that swing action happen. I would just need a little button down here. Again, not a big thing to do. Not a big deal. But we're at 2 hours and 33 minutes, so I'm gonna end this here. You're just gonna have to deal with the fact that I'm gonna put in that little swing arm system here to swing that out, and I'm gonna do that off camera. But that will be a thing that I do, and that should solve all of the issues with the train. So there you go. There's a steam locomotive. Sorry I did not get to do the whole build with you guys. I did do a build with you, but unfortunately that build didn't work. And I think I've sufficiently gone over the changes that I made. The 2-boiler system was definitely a huge improvement. It made sure that I got more steam into the system. So 2 boilers, definitely an improvement. Here's that pressure reading, by the way. The steam pressure reading right here. I have the averager is between them, but I'm reading pressure right here as it's out of the boiler, and same here. As soon as it comes out of the boiler, that's where I'm reading the pressure in this line here. So there's my pressure readings for the steam, and there's the averager right there that averages the 2 numbers together. Just in case you weren't sure where that was happening. It's happening right as soon as I get out of the boiler.
There's my pressure tester right there on both sides. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So again, I have pumps on the send, I have a pump on the receive, and then I have a pump pressuring the whole system. These are the drives. These two lines right here are for the drive only. They're not for the pistons here. They're not for the generator. They're not for anything else. They're not for the bypass or anything. Those pumps there are specifically for the drive system, which is these two lines here. That's all they're for. They're for pressure in the drive lines. And you can see this line out the top here for the steam whistle. The steam whistle is on the drive lines. It's the drive lines come in here, and go down into the floor, but they also go up to the steam whistle. So that's that. And you'll also notice a vent back here. This vent here, which is kind of hidden. The reason for that vent is to make sure there was no air going into the boilers. So you can see that line coming down, splits off here, and you can see right before the boilers, right as we're hitting the boilers, you can see I'm letting only fluid through here. Any air is going out, so I don't get an airlock in the boiler or in the system past the boiler. Because of the way that I'm drawing water directly from the tank down here coming up. These may suck air if the water gets too low. So I made sure that air is siphoned off and sent out so that only water is going into the boilers. And that actually seems to help quite a bit. That, in tandem with pumping the air in, seems to keep my flow rate up. And I do want to set this for 95% full. So there's a little bit of room there for air to be pressurized in there. So yeah, that's the steam train. And like I said, I'm probably gonna take my my next build, which I don't know if I'm gonna do a video of or not. I might do a video of it, because I think that would be fun. It is going to have, let me see here. It is going to be, let me find the plant. I'm not going to probably be able to open it, but I can at least show you it. It's down here somewhere. Rocket testing, more train stuff. That was my oil. There it is. This plant right here, the oil fractioning system. You see this fractioning tower right here. Not the diesel. This is a storage tank, and there's a fuel storage tank on either side. So this is the diesel storage tank. This is the jet fuel storage tank. So that, yeah, I know. I'm not going to be bringing. You know what? I'll bring it in. I'll bring it in via the selection grid. That should work. Okay, so I have the two storage tanks, which I'm not worried about because I'm not going to need them. But in the center, this center piece here, this is the fractioning tower in the center. And if I lay it on its side, you can see it's too tall for the area. But if I were to lay it on its side, like this, I could put that on a train very easily. I could put that on a train car. And I'm talking this center tower, and I'm not talking about the outside towers. I'm talking about the center tower. I could put that on a train car very easily, hook up some lines to the side of the train car, and just have it stand up when it's going to be used. So when I'm going to use it, I'll stand it up, and when I'm not using it, it'll just lay down. And I could put that on a train car very, very easily. And then run that up to the Arctic and process the oil, which the oil would come in. The oil would come in here, I wouldn't leave this like this. I would probably use like a flex line or something right here. So this part would be like down on the car, and I'd have a flex line go into here. Um, you know, kind of like how I did for my oil rig, how I had the tower that would raise up, and it was on flex lines. It had flex lines to it. So the same thing would happen here. I would have the lines coming down because I have the green line, which is jet, which I believe that's jet fuel, and then I have the yellow line, which is diesel fuel. Instead of having them come out the middle of the tower like this and go into the storage tanks, I'd have them come all the way down the tower to the base, and I would have flex lines there too. So when I raise the tower up, I would have flex lines to this guy, and I would have flex lines to like maybe some mini storage tanks on the back, and the mini storage tanks would have um, the outputs on them. But I would be able to take this up to the Arctic, buy the buy the oil, and sell it right away after processing it into diesel and jet fuel. I wonder if that would make money. I wonder if that would make money doing that. I'd have to provide power because this heater's a very very expensive heater as far as power goes. Um, but if I took my coal train though, my coal train could just use the steam to keep the battery full. I wonder if that would work. And if I take my nuclear train, that's even better. But my nuclear train's really expensive, so I don't know if I could do that. Um, how much is my steam train? Let's go. Let's go all the way up. How much is my steam train if I were to spawn it? Oh, look at that, and get off of that. So if I were to spawn this, it is that's it, 55,000. I can afford that right now in my survival world because I think I have like 140 something. Okay, I think I have a plan for my survival world. I'm gonna have to build that other train car. Um, but yeah, I think I just came up with an idea to make some money on survival. Anyway, I'm gonna experiment with that. Maybe I'll do a video on that next time. Maybe I'll do a video to build that uh, train car. That might be my next video. I'm also working on an oil rig project right now that is kind of consuming my life, um, as it were. um, and I'm gonna do a feature video on that. I'm not gonna do a full build video because it's just I am so not yet. I am so deep into that project. That project is actually being. I'm tearing apart one of my builds, which was an oil rig, and I'm rebuilding it as a more efficient oil rig. I'll give you a little glimpse of it right now. Um, so I'll show it first. I'll show you the original, and then I'll show you what I'm working on. So the original um, is I gotta go down here to my oil rig platform, which is this guy. So this is my original build, and as you can see, it's a glitch vehicle. I don't want to use a glitch vehicle because I'm kind of beyond the glitch phase now. I know how I know nuclear works. I am able to get a lot of power out of nuclear, um, and I also know how diesel generators work because remember we had that diesel generator that was producing a shit ton of power and basically sipping fuel. It would run the motor at full speed for like 10 seconds to top up the battery, and then it would shut down. And it had 3 Asimov thrusters running, which you can see here. I'm not using Asimovs on this one. I'm using just regular propellers. But on this one, this build was taken um, from a build that I had done before, and that was taken from a build that I had done before, and that was taken from a build that I had done before. So I'm basically recycling. I've been up till this point recycling the same build. I started with this pontoon boat, and it was a rescue vehicle that could lift vehicles. It could lift stranded boats out of the water. I then turned it into
a carrier for a deep sea submersible base, which I believe I've featured here before. Now that deep sea submersible base is, if you remember that project, now it is self-sufficient. It has its own propellers. It can get to its own locations and it can sink down and whatever. So I don't need that build anymore. The build that carried the deep sea submersible. I don't need that pontoon build anymore. And then I came up with this. I wanted to make a mobile oil rig, and so I came up with this build. And again, this is the same thing. So I took you can still see elements of the rescue build, which is the firefighting apparatuses. You know, I have the firefighting stations. I have the turret station, which is all it all came from there. And these used to be these were sick bays, which are now converted into slush tanks, or what's it called? Um, Damn it, what's that called? Slurry tanks. These are now slurry tanks instead of being rescue bays or med bays. So I keep taking the same build and fixing it and fixing it and fixing it, or not fixing it, but redoing it and redoing it and redoing it. And if you look in, and I have pumps going different places, and some of these things aren't even hooked up because, like I said, it was one build and then I took it to another build and then I took it to another build. For example, on the rescue build, there's elevators here. This build does not have the elevators. I took the elevators out and I put ladders, and I lowered it down because the center of gravity was way too high, so I lowered it down. And you can see that if I load my rescue build, which that's not my rescue build. Let me find the rescue build. It is going to be further down here. See, there's a small version of it, which again, it's the same build. I just shrunk it down. I took out the middle, but it's the exact same platform. It's the exact same. See, actually, I cut off the rear. Is what I did for this, because here's the slurry tanks. And guess what? The slurry tanks are a med base. So this one's a much smaller one. It's faster, but you can see I got the gimbal camera on top instead of a turret. I still have the fire extinguishers. I still have both sides here. The one side is for the firefighting. The other side is for the gimbal turret. On the top, instead of a weapons turret, I have a gimbal turret. I still have the platforms on here for servicing boats. I have them set up so they can service. There's fuel storage, which is down in the hull here. I added fuel tanks to the hull in this one with pumps, so I can, if I run into a boat out there that's out of fuel or whatever, I can lower these down, pick the boat up out of the water, refuel it, fix it up. I've got welders on there. I got a fire extinguisher just in case there's a fire on the boat or whatever. So this was a faster rescue boat than the old rescue boat that I had, but it does the same thing. It does the exact same thing, and I forget what these are for. What are those for? What the heck are those for? I don't remember. I don't even remember what those are for. What do they do? They're on sliders. They slide out for some reason. They slide out this way for some reason. Or are those like gangplanks? Maybe those are like gangplanks. So if you have a boat tied up to the side, those can come out and you just walk across to the other boat. Maybe that's what I put those on there for. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore what that stuff is for. It doesn't look. Does it have controls? Do they have controls? Oh shit! I hate when that happens. I hate when you go to click a button and it thinks that you're still on the screen. So anyway, okay, so those are controlled from what? What are those controlled from? It's controlled from here, which is controlled from up top? Button up there. Up here. Service locks. Service locks? Oh, I know what those are for. Okay, I know what those are for. Oh, yes. Okay. So what happens is when these things raise up, so these swing, You can see the swing there. They swing. Okay. Um, so they'll go down into the water underneath the boat, so you can see how far down they go. They go underneath the water, way down, and there'll be a boat that's floating between here. They swing closed under the boat and kind of boom, lock in. And then what happens is, because you can see the locks on them. So they'll grab each other, they'll magnetize to each other, and they'll hold together under the boat. Then you lift the boat up out of the water, and then once the boat is out of the water and the platform is up, you engage these. They slide in underneath the platform. They slide in underneath the platform. Then you bring the platform down on them, and from there you can do your servicing. You do all your servicing from there. So that's what those are for. These guys here are for sliding in and giving this platform something to land on. I could raise the boat all the way up to the top, but that gives me a little service level. At the level of at the lower deck, it gives me a place where I can stop the thing from going down any further, just so I can service the boat that's on it. But like I said, I could raise the boat all the way up to the top deck here, in which case these stairs will line up with this platform here. So I could bring the boat all the way up, but if I want to service it down by the water line, I can do that too. So that's what that is. Anyways, back to what I'm saying. So I had this platform, and you can see how this platform is a lot higher than the other platform, because this is the original height. The oil rig, when I turned it to an oil rig, I found it was too top heavy, and I had to bring it down. So that's what that's what I was showing there. If I go back in here some more, if I scroll back even further, there's my actual oil rig platform, which is where when I started the whole oil thing, that's what I started with. I started actually with an oil rig at an oil rig location. Yeah, I know it's too big. I wasn't actually trying to load on it. I just clicked on it. So that's when I started. Here's the pontoon platform that I originally made. This is my original design, and you can see here aspects of the other ones. So I just cut it off here for the shorter version. But this has a helipad on it. It's got the dive bell at the back. It's got the crane that can be moved to pick things up. It's got the service platform on the front. There's no sliders because this service platform didn't have the sliders on it. I didn't come up with that until I made that other boat. So this service platform comes down, goes under the boat, lifts it up, and brings it up to the main deck, where you just do your servicing up here. You can see here that I have the staircases going down into here, but on this one I have no staircase coming up. Whereas the last boat I had a staircase coming up because it's too much of a pain in the ass climbing this ladder through the floor every time. So I put a staircase there, and then this finished with a staircase here. This one's got the turret on the top. It's got the firefighting capabilities. I do have a version that actually has rockets under here. But this one, of course, does not. The point is, I keep using the same design over and over and over again, and it's not the most efficient design. But I did find things that worked. So the project that I'm working on now, and if I go back, there might even be an earlier version of that. Yeah, there's another one. Oh, this is the sea base. This one was for the sea base. You can see I went away with the turret up here, and I put a turret here and a turret here. This was shortly after the weapon DLC came out, and I started to get my ass handed to me by the AI. So so this one here, I still have the firefighting. I have a set of 4 heavy winches instead of having the helicopter pad back here and the movable winch on the front. I have a set of 4 winches because this one was designed for a specific job. It was designed to carry the mobile sea base. So I have 2 platform sets for carrying the sea base. And of course, it doesn't lift all the way up to the main deck anymore. It just lifts the sea base high enough so that it's out of the water. But you can see again, the height here is way higher than the oil rig version.
because the oil rig version was top heavy and very unstable, and these pontoons are kind of small. They're rather dinky. They don't provide a whole lot of stability to the build. Um, Along with the offset here, I think that also has something to do with it because I'm putting all the weight on this side of the pontoon, on the inside of the pontoon. I think there's a bit of a physics issue there, where it likes to flip. It likes to consider this as a pivot point, and it rolls. Because this guy flips upside down pretty easy, um, especially when you're in rough water. It can go over. Well, not this guy specifically. I'm just saying this design. If I have too much weight on the top, this design can very easily tip. And I've had that happen several times. That's why I had to lower down the because if you look at this one has the stairs that go in, but I also got fed up with that and have stairs on the outside, or a ladder on the outside too. Because that used to be the only way. It used to be you go up here, and then you go up the staircase inside, you come out here. But I got fed up with that, like I said, and now I got stairs. Now I got a ladder that goes all the way to the top deck. So every one of these things has changes and Oh, and this one's the one with the missiles. This one's got this one's got the missile platform. Because like I said, this one was I was getting my ass handed to me. So it's got missiles. It's got two turrets. Should have a twin weapon station in here. Yeah, two. You got port and starboard weapon stations, and over here you got port and starboard fire stations, and then of course the steering and all that stuff, and my reactors. This one uses the nuclear reactors. You can see them down there. But I also got fed up with the power that the nuclear reactors didn't put, so you can see there's a glitch on top of it. Because this was back before I figured out how to optimize my nuclear reactors. You can also see this one has front and rear thrusters, whereas that last one only had them on the front. So every time I seem to edit this design, I come up with different things, but I never change the actual design. So that's my new project. My new project is to take what I've learned, to take the good parts, and redo the whole design, while keeping some of the stuff that works, some of the stuff that I figured out works, and some of the stuff that because I don't want to have to rebuild certain aspects. Excuse me. I don't want to have to rebuild certain aspects. Like if I take a look at my oil rig, there's a lot on my oil rig that actually works and works very well. For example, I don't know if I can find my oil rig there. So there's a lot of stuff on here that works well, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. Storage tanks on the top do not work. They add and you can see the difference in the height here. You can see how far I brought it down. There is no more ladder. There is no more space for a ladder. There are 2 blocks here. So you can see how much I've lowered the main deck because this thing got so top heavy that it would roll over. And part of the reason for that is because I put the oil storage on the top. And that was kind of a stupid idea. Honestly, I should have had these slung underneath. If anything, they should have been slung down here underneath. But I put them on the top of the deck. So that was a stupid idea. I have 2 buildings out back here that have the what do you call it? The I forgot what they're called. The centrifuges. Centrifuges to centrifuge the oil out of the slurry. So I have two of those. I don't need 2 of those, but I got 2 of them because I was working on a balance. You can see everything on the ship is balanced. I have pipes on this side, pipes on this side. I have slurry processing this side, slurry processing this side. Everything's balanced. Oil tank this side, oil tank that side. These oil tanks have pipes that run between them. You can see down here, so that it can be balanced out. The oil system can be balanced out, so that if there's too much oil going into one tank, it can be shifted over to the other tank. So everything's about maintaining balance, maintaining balance, maintaining balance. Because the thing is so freaking unstable that you have to maintain balance. I even have two buildings on the. I have a bed building over here, and I put a hospital over here because I needed to maintain that balance. So I have two identical buildings to maintain that balance. My command center is in the center. My oil rig tower's in the middle because everything's about balance. Even the oil rig tower comes up in the center of the boat. You can see the weight, the center of the boat here. That's where the oil tower is. That's where it comes up. It stands right on the center of the boat. So everything about this build was based on the fact that this is such an unstable platform, and you can even see that I expanded these more, um, because this was square before. It was like here, but I expanded it down. I lowered this down to give me more flotation, um, because I needed bigger pontoons because I had so much weight on the top of this deck that I needed bigger pontoons to hold it up. So this is my oil rig platform, and there are things that I found worked. Um, this tower, for example, absolutely love the design of this tower. It works beautifully, and I don't want to change that. Same with this control center. I figured I built this control center, and it works, and it functions, and it works beautifully. I have a section for, I have a section for the oil tower. I have a section for the oil platform. I have a section for winches. I have a section for the tower up and down and the platform up and down. So everything is sectioned off nicely, and it works. And I have a camera here for this guy. So everything here works. Everything here works. This thing works. So I didn't want to mess with any of it. I didn't want to lose any of that in my new build. So I decided to keep that. But everything else had to go. Everything. I mean everything. I mean all this bridge, the bridge at the front, everything. It had to go. Gone. Get rid of it. Get it out of here. Pontoon design had to change. Deck design had to change. Although I did keep the main deck. I kept the flat part of the main deck, like, because I didn't want to have to redo just the shape of the deck. So I kept the deck. But everything else, everything under the deck and everything above the deck, basically got changed except for this. I kept the oil rig because I like the tower, but everything else got changed. So that's the project that I am working on now, and I'm going to end this video very soon. But I just want to give you a brief glimpse at it, because it's this guy right here. I built new pontoons. I built new stances. I built new structure on top. So it now resembles more of an oil rig, than a boat, and it's got thrusters on the back, thrusters on the front, azimuths. I haven't put the propellers on the back yet. It's got rudders. It's got more anchor points. So you can see all the anchor points I have on the. I should have showed you the old boat. The old boat only had the two on the back and the two on the front. It did not have these giant center anchor points, and also the drill also anchors. So you actually have across the center. You actually have these four plus this, anchoring it to the seafloor, and then on these guys here are more about keeping twisting. So this way. So these guys here are kind of keeping it from going side to side, keeping it from moving forward, backward, side to side. And these guys here are more about keeping it from twisting and turning on axis. So it's a very stable platform. I've taken it out into the water a couple of times just to test how stable it is. It's pretty stable. And don't ask me how I got it there, because I actually drove it sideways using the. I had a temporary. I put a temporary steering station right here on the side, and I had it actually facing this way, and I drove these azimuth thrusters here and here to drive it sideways, which was an experiment because the rudders are actually here at the back. So when I would want to turn, I would actually turn these rudders back there, and the whole thing would just kind of slowly just start going, but it wouldn't want to. It really would not want to turn. So I had the azimuth thrusters I varied the throttle of them. So when I went left, I had these ones come, and or when I went right, I had these ones on. When I went left, I had these ones on, and and then when I wanted to go forward, I had them both going. When I wanted to go reverse, I had these guys fire up. But I took that station out because I was done playing around. I made sure that these worked and would hold up in heavy waves, and that's all I wanted to do. But if you look here, you'll notice I still have the same tower. I still have the same oil drilling tower, and I still have the same oil drilling base. Nothing's changed there. I wanted to keep those because they work and they work well. The one thing that I did do was I took the pipes off the one side and put them on the other side. So now I have two sets. I have both of those sets of pipes. They're over here, and I had this flipper and this stand cloned on this side. I took those out as well because all my pipes are over here now. I don't have to mess with pipes over here, so I only need the holder on this side. So I did that. I got rid of the holder. I got rid of the holder. I got rid of the pipes from this side. I'm going to put slurry processing over here. It's not going to take up a lot of space. It's not going to be very heavy, but it's going to be right there. All the oil storage, I've actually made a tank in the pontoon. This is the oil storage tank now. It's in the pontoon, which means it's going to be more stable. And I have a hallway. I have a hallway between, that's in the tank that goes from one side to the other. So I can still access the rest of the pontoon. So this is the front of the pontoon here, and then through the tank, and then out to the back of the pontoon over here. So front, back. I'm now using the pontoons for balance. So the pontoons are actually my balance. Everything that you go down the center line here, which this anchor right here is at the center line. So you go down the center line, and from that center line, everything back here is identical to everything up here right now. That's going to change because I'm going to be putting some motors back here. But you can see I've already made adjustment for that because the weight right now, if you look at center, you can see the weight is forward. So I left myself some space that I can put more weight on the back here because I wanted to put more weight on the back here. This dive bell, which has got to come out of here. You can see my deck's a little lower too. This is the original height of the deck. So I did bring the deck down again to increase the balance a bit. I lowered the deck. This is the original deck. I just took everything off of it. So the dive bell I want to put inside, probably in the front superstructure. I might put it like down here, in this area. I might put it down here so then it can lower through the floor at the front here. Because I still want to have a dive bell because I want to be able to go down to inspect, the wellhead and all that if I got to go down. So I still want to have that dive bell, but I don't want it outside anymore, and I don't want it way back at the back here. I kind of want it more toward the front where the command area is, which is up front here. So I'm going to have the bridge up here. The bridge is going to be up here. It's going to be like a window here, and I'm going to have the window come like up and then out a bit. So kind of like how my fishing boats have, how the window goes kind of out. So it's going to be a station, or it's going to be a wide area, a wide window. So the bridge is going to be up here. There's going to be some rooms up here as well. I'll have a radio room. I'll have, a control room, maybe an engine room, or not an engine room, like an engine control room. The engines are going to be down in the back here. I might put a nuclear reactor on each side. In this area, perhaps. It'll be a compact one. It'll be like the one that I used for my train. It's not going to be the full 8 boiler system, or full 8 turbine system. It might only be the 2 turbine system, the one that I used on the train. So it'll output about 2,000 to 2,500, something like that, instead of outputting 20,000. But still, that should be enough power to run everything. If I have one on this side, one on the other side, that should be enough power to run everything at 2,000 or 2,500. I have my control station that I had before is still here. I have it now in a raised up area in the back here. which is probably going to bite me in the ass because I have to run to these controls, and then I have to, when I'm ready for another drill pipe, I have to like lay it down from the controls here, go get a pipe, put it on, load it, come back here, lock the pipe in, then I got to go back down and flip that out, and then I got to come back here and flip some switches here. So this is really built for a couple of people. You should have 2 people running this when you're doing oil drilling. But I'm designing it for more design than function at the time. So there's a main hatch down here that you can see, so an access hatch at the bottom. I do have a controller on the wall over here, and I'm currently working with this controller to try to. I want to keep exposure to a minimum. I want this to be like I want this to be a building, so you can see there's some interesting stuff going on here, and I'm going to show you that maybe during the feature. I'm not going to show you that right now. Basically, what happens is when you go to drill, you can open the roof. You can open the roof to do your drilling, and then you can close the roof behind it. Like when the drill's up, you can close the roof behind it, just so that you only have the area open that you need to do the drilling. But you can see I had to, because this swings vertical. I had to make it so the entire building split down the middle to get to that point, and I had to make this a little bit bigger because when the oil rig is in the transport position, when the platform's in the transport position, it's actually a little bit taller than this roof. So I had to make it so the whole roof could open above the oil rig or the oil platform for transportation. And I made it so it goes up high enough that this whole thing, basically this whole thing goes inside raises up inside the platform now. There's just a little bit sticking out at the bottom, maybe about this much from here to here, is now hanging below this point. So there's barely anything hanging down. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to show it to you right now anyway. I'm already here. I already got it. It's only going to take a second to show you. But just make note that this isn't done. This is far from complete. But it is a very stable platform. I do have to do weight balance yet. Because as you can see, the pontoons are still fairly heavy out of the water. Once I have everything built and everything laid out where it's going to be, then I'm going to trim the balance by adding weight blocks to the bottom of the pontoons. And then once I have that at a certain position, once I have that balance, then I'm going to have a ballast system. And I already designed the pontoons for that ballast system. So anyway, I don't want to be in here. I want to be actually in the control booth. Which right now, yeah, I got broken stairs. Because I did a copy paste here, and I didn't paste in or I didn't come back and fix that stair because it pasted different. I was trying to do stairs that went like up like this and then went up like that. So you come up to a landing, then you take a stand and then up, and then I was like, fuck it. So I just did a straight staircase because I wanted to put a door there. I haven't done that yet either. I want to put a door there. And when I decided to put a door there, suddenly the staircase didn't work anymore because I had the staircase coming up to there, and then it would turn, and this platform was actually down there, and then the stairs would come up to here. But then I was like, you know what? I could put a door there. And so I decided to fix the staircase here. I just copied the bottom part, pasted it, and then fixed up the top here, so I could have a door there. But I haven't put the door in, and I haven't finished fixing the stairs. Anyway, so this is where the bridge is going to be. So you're going to have this kind of view out the bridge. There's going to be a few stations. There's going to be, like I said, there's going to be like an engineering station. There's going to be a nav station. There's going to be a piloting station, probably right here. And then you'll have your view out the front.
I'll have some rooms back here probably. I might square this up and put some rooms, maybe like a bathroom, maybe a couple of like maybe a map room, you know, navigation kind of map room. And then we have back here we have our control station, which should really have some kind of entrance way that goes out into there. So maybe I'll put like a door with stairs down or something like that. I'll have to figure it out because right now we're outside the building right now. The building wall is actually like right here. So if I put a staircase here, it's going to be a staircase that goes outside and then back inside. But anyways, so here we are at our station. I raised the wellhead because it always starts for some reason a little tiny bit low. I don't know why it does that. That's just something that Stormworks does. It doesn't automatically winch in all the way when you spawn. It's kind of weird. So we have all of our controls here. We have our slurry controls, our oil pump controls, drill head, drill clamp. Over here we have our pipe slider, as well as our pipe slider clamp. We have our rotary table up at the top here. This is why, I mean, I really have a nice design going here for this console, so I didn't want to lose it. And then I have a link to unlink pipe button, and I can see when the pipes are aligned to do the link. Over here I have a video channel selector, so I can select viewing up or viewing down on the drill head. Viewing down is great for when you're putting the drill down in and you're trying to hit a target right on the bottom of the water, and you can see when you can actually see when you've hit the bottom. And then looking up is great because you can actually watch the well pipe come down, and if you need to, you can make some adjustments, like you can stop it going down, start it going up, down, up, and you can make sure that your pipe's, you know, on target as it approaches the you can watch it coming down from the oil rig, and you can actually see if it's on target or not. And if it's not on target, you can, like, hey captain, go backwards a little tiny bit, you know. And you can see that adjustment happen in real time here. I have the wellhead up, wellhead down, and I have the wellhead anchor, so you can anchor your wellhead to the seafloor, and you can see that it's anchored by a light over there. So I have all of this stuff built in here, which is great. Drill depth, it tells me the well depth, tells me the drill depth. I've got the wellhead distance to the seabed, so I can see how far the wellhead has to go to the seabed. So I have all that stuff built into this console, so I really do not want to lose this console. And then of course I have my controls, which raise the drill platform, and I also have my control to raise the drill tower. And that's where I came into a problem, because if I just raise the drill tower, it's going to bash into the roof. So I had to write that control box over there, which I'm still working on. It's not completely figured out yet. But so, for example, when I raise the drill platform, you see that the roof opens to make room for the drill platform when it gets up there. And I also added some grabbers to the roof, so when it is all the way up, the grabbers will grab it and the motors will shut off, because I don't want there's 4 motors there, or I should say sliders. The sliders function as motors. So I'm using a lot of power to lift this thing up, and then once it's up, I'm using a lot of power to keep it there. But if I just grab it with those 2 connectors, you'll see them grab. There we go. As soon as those connectors grab, those motors shut off. So now I'm just using 2 grabbers. I'm not using the motors to hold it up there. And if I take you outside, you can see there's very, very little of it hanging down. In fact, the clearance is the same as the oil vents, the oil tanks. The clearance is actually the same as the oil tank vents. So it's a very nice, very stable position to have that in. It's not going to swing around a lot. It's not going to move, because remember, it's hanging on ropes, right? That wellhead is hanging on ropes. But because it's such a nice, snug fit down here, you can see it's very, very snug. It's not going to bounce around and move on me. And the roof is open, so the top of the wellhead fits out. So then I bring it down, and you can see it starts coming down. Those let go, and it starts coming down. and there's a counter running right now inside that box. I have to adjust the counter because the counter's not quite right. The doors, the roof doors take way too long to close. It's using a counter right now, a 3200. I think it's 3200 counter, which is 3200 ticks. So it's about a minute. So it uses that counter and it waits until 30 seconds before it starts closing the roof. The actual center flaps close before the rest of the roof closes. But you can see that roof closed now. So I can adjust the timers on there in the coding to make it so that things happen a little more on schedule. And then if I do the drill tower, you'll see something even more phenomenal happen. The whole building splits, and you can see the main roof doesn't open all the way. Just this half slit opens, and you can see these open, and that roof back there opens. And it's all wide enough for the drill head. And once that's open, so there it's now fully open, and it's running on a counter too. And then you can see the drill head comes up. The drill head comes up through the open roof. So now I haven't programmed it yet, but I want this back roof, once the drill head is up, I want this back roof to close. And maybe this back wall too. This back wall and the back roof can close because they don't need to be open right now. The drill head's not there, you know. The drill head's elevated. So it doesn't need to have that open. Even possibly this one at the back here can probably close too, because the drill head is, I think, past that. Yeah, because the line's right there. The line's right there. So the drill head is past this back roof piece, so even it can close. So I can close this. I can close this entire roof back here. I can close this half wall back here, and I can close this back here once this tower is all the way up. Now the reason I haven't done that yet is because the programming right now, for when I press this button, this tower goes down right away. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to build a delay in to stop that from happening. Because what will have to happen is when I press this button, this roof will have to open again. So it's going to need time to open. And then once the roof is open, then the drill rig can lay down. And then the roof can close. And I think I might be able to do that with buttons. If I put because you can see here that this is where the wellhead lays. It lays on this platform, and I think if I put a button right there, although I'm not going to be able to really do that because it spawns laying down. So I would have to figure out a way of putting a way so that the button would get pressed when it's laying down, without it laying down. Oh, there's the hoses I was talking about. See, I have the flex hoses. They're attached. They're attached here, and they're attached up here. And that's how I'm doing my joint. So this can rotate freely because these lines are connected to the main piping system here via these flex lines, and that's what I can do on the fractioning tower that I was just talking about. So that actually works. That works very well doing that. So let's lay the tower back down. You can see the tower will go instantly laying down. It'll instantly go to lay down. Now, if I need to open the roof, like I said, I need to put a delay on that so it won't just smash into the roof, the closed roof. You'll have to give it time to open. But you see, it's laying down. Now the counter's still running. I haven't figured out these counters yet. Like I haven't done the math yet to figure out, you know, how long does this take? How long does that take? How long does something else take? So I can properly time. But now you see the roof's closing. So 30 seconds has gone past. The roof is closing. The wall is closing. There's that little piece. This piece up here, for some reason, doesn't start right away with the rest of the roof. It waits, and I think that has something to do with the platform lift. So you'll notice here in a few seconds it'll work its way. It'll start closing. There it goes. I don't know why there's an extra delay there, but there is. I think it has to do with the platform. I think it functions on the platform timer. So when the platform is coming down, it actually that part takes a little longer to trigger. So there you go. The roof is sealed again. I shouldn't say sealed because it's not actually sealed, but it's visually closed. Um, but there is some there's definitely some work that's got to be done to get the timing down pat. This is still very much in its infancy. This construction, very much in its infancy. So there's the station right there, the door underneath. This is the tower platform controller, which is basically a roof controller. And this is the piping system. You have your pipes here, which is a nice little set of stairs. You can come up and grab your pipes and put them on and load them on. And that I should have flipped the switch because this thing will slowly slide forward. It has no brakes, so it's actually slowly sliding forward. I forgot to set the toggle on that. That's supposed to stay back. It's supposed to constantly be going the other way. But anyways, so there's one set of pipes, and then I flip the switch, and that comes down, and there's the second set of pipes. So I have access to both sets of pipes, just like I had before. This will get me down to about 100 meters underwater. So once I'm through the water, at about 100 meters or whatever they use here for, I don't know what they use for depth, feet, meters. I think they use feet, or maybe they use meters. I don't know. Whatever they use for depth. I can go out to a depth of 100. I can send down a pipe, and I can still drill to another 100. I believe with this set of pipes. So, whoops. And then you squish yourself in a wall. Because you're not paying attention. But anyway, that is the system. That is the drill rig as it is now. Like I say, it's still very much in. I'm still very much in construction mode here because, like I said, this bell housing has got to come out of here. It's got to be placed over down under here. I still got to build a bridge for this thing. I got to build all that stuff. The pontoons, like I said, the pontoons are set up to work as ballast tanks. So this is the top of the pontoon. This is the bottom of the pontoon. You can see the bottom of the pontoon is very separated. So I have very small tanks down here. I don't know if I could show that any better. Maybe if I click on here, yeah, okay. So you see this. You see the sections. You see how the top of the pontoon is wide open top, but the bottoms are very sectioned. And the reason I sectioned them like that is because I'm going to be using those for ballast. So I'm going to be using, I want very small areas, so it's going to be easy to pump in and out, because each area is going to have its own pumping system. So as you know, pumping in Stormworks is very not very effective, especially if you're trying to fill large ballast tanks. It is extremely poor, the pumping system in Stormworks. So what I've done is I've basically helped that system along by introducing small ballast tanks, a bunch of them, a bunch of very small ballast tanks. So what these tanks are going to be set up to do is they're going to all have pumps in them. They're going to pump in from one side, and they're going to pump out on the other side. That's basically how they're going to work. So the water will be able to come in from the one side. They'll have vents down the one side for pumping in. They'll have vents down the other side for pumping out. And then what it's going to do, I'm going to actually program the system so that I can set the ballast tanks to be a certain fill level. So say I want the ballast tanks to fill 25%. So all the ballast tanks will fill to 25%. If the ship is front heavy, it's going to automatically compensate by taking whatever number I set. So say I set 25%, and it detects that there's a tilt forward because it's off balance. There's too much weight on the front. What it will automatically do is say, okay, I have 25% on the front. Now we're going to slowly increase the percentage at the back until we're leveled, or slowly decrease at the front until we're leveled. But it's going to try to stay at that 25%.
Like it's not going to put 50 in the back and then leave the front at 25. What's going to happen is the front's going to decrease a tiny bit. So say it'll come down to maybe 22, and the back will come up maybe to 26 or 27, depending on what it needs to do to get the boat leveled this way, like front and back. And it can also do side to side. So if the boat's not level side to side, it can add maybe a little more ballast here, take away a little ballast over here, but it's going to function around whatever number I set. So if I set a number of, like I said, 25%, it's gonna start at that 25%, take a little bit out over here, put a little bit more over here, a little bit out over here, a little more over here to keep it balanced, but it's going to use that 25% as a marker of how much ballast it should have in total. Uh, so the average between the two sides should be that 25%. Is basically what I'm getting to. So it's never going to put 25% over here and nothing over here. It's never going to do that. Same with this way. It's never going to put 25% over here and nothing over here. It's going to balance it out. It's going to be like 28 over here and maybe 22 back here, just to keep it balanced, Rough seas, that's not really going to be an option. But stable calm seas, which is where we should be drilling. We shouldn't be drilling in rough seas. We should be drilling in stable calm seas. So in a stable calm sea, a ballast system like that should be very, very effective at keeping you level and keeping you in position. Same with the thrusters, the azimuth thrusters. I have the two thrusters on the front, over here, and then the thrusters here, and then these two thrusters here on the back. I'm going to have them set up to a GPS system, so it'll hold us on position. So it'll use these thrusters to hold us stable in position, and it'll use the forward and rear thrusters, which I'm thinking maybe I might have azimuths underneath the boat on the back and the front. Instead of building them into the side like that, I might actually have them under the bottom, or I might have azimuths on the back that can rotate to face forward, so that they can spin 180 degrees, maybe even 360 degrees, because they'll know if I use the velocity pivot, this one. If I use this one can go. I think current rotation can be read from its output. Output of 1 corresponds to 1 full turn, -1 to a full turn in the opposite direction. Okay, so it's not that one. Oh wait, no, it is that one. Pivot will continuously rotate at a set speed. Because you can read the position from this. You can read the current rotation from this. So using a velocity pivot on an azimuth thruster, I think that'll work. I think you can you do that? Does this have a pass-through for... It does not have a pass-through for drive power. You bastards. It's just all it is a basic turret? Are you kidding me? It does not have a pass-through. Well, that's lame. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do it differently then. I'm not going to be able to use that guy. I'm going to have to use one of the other ones. Why is my caps lock on? I'm going to have to use, like, maybe this guy. So I will have to set him so he is facing, like, this way. I have to set him so he's facing sideways. Maybe put him kind of where these rudders are. So, like that and like that. Actually, that's not facing sideways. I'll have to have him facing sideways like this, because they can only rotate 90 degrees. I'll have him facing sideways like that, maybe have this guy facing the opposite direction or something like that. So the azimuths start one facing that way, one facing that way. Actually, I don't really need to worry about that. But that still might be a good idea. Just so any residual thrust is bled off. If I have them facing opposite directions and I'm going full forward and then switch to full reverse, they will match each other. So this one will rotate out this way, pushing thrust sideways that way, and this one will rotate out this way, pushing thrust that way. So if I do that and start the azimuths one facing that way, one facing that way, then when I'm going forward, they'll both face backward, and when I'm going backwards, they'll both face that way, And then they'll rotate independently. So this one will rotate by coming around this way, This one will rotate by coming around this way, so any thrust from either of them is going to be offset by the other. So that's probably the best way to do that. And then, like I said, I'll use the azimuth thrusters, these guys, to propel. I'm going to have to raise the ship to fit them. But I'll start that one facing that way, and I'll start this one facing this way. And I'll just have it so that, you know, when I'm going forward, like I said, when I'm going forward, I'll have them rotate to face the rear. So they'll face like that, and then when I'm going backwards, they'll spin around and do that. So then what I could do is hook the whole system up to a GPS stabilization, and it can actually, you know, when the GPS is active, maybe have the one facing backwards, the one facing frontwards, so that can control, you know, which direction which, if it's got to go forward or backwards, and then these ones will control the steering, you know, to basically hold it in position. I can use them to hold the ship in position, because I'll have two thrusters facing backwards, one on this side, one on that side. I'll have two thrusters facing forward, one on this side, one on that side, and then I'll have these side thrusters here to keep the turning, to keep it from turning, I should say. So yeah, I think that'll be a good option. But again, this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to cut it here. All right, take care, everybody. This is Jodian signing off. Glad you got to see the train working. My next video is going to be building the this project here. This boat project is a project that I'm doing off camera. So the next on camera project is probably going to be messing around and seeing if we can actually make money off the processing of oil into fuels via the train. So that'll be the next video. As always, take care, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this series. I know there's been a lot of times where it seems like nothing's happened, because, you know, we're just banging our head on a problem, banging our head on a problem, banging our head on a problem, and just not getting anywhere. But I hope by seeing that, you know, that process of, okay, this doesn't work, let's try this. Okay, this doesn't work, let's try this. That kind of, instead of always seeing videos where everything works, I hope that's by seeing me struggling through, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. You kind of get a better, not better appreciation of what goes into these projects, but a better sense of the troubleshooting process for when you're working on your own builds. So if you're working on your own builds and something isn't working right, oh, I remember Jodian tried this, and oh, I remember Jodian tried that. Oh, I remember Jodian tried this. You know, and that it give you different ideas, different ways of thinking of problem solutions. You know, oh, he tried this and that didn't work, but maybe if I did this, you know, maybe that would work. You know, it hopefully seeing my failures as well as my successes will help you in your own endeavors in Stormworks. So that's kind of why I leave everything in, and I don't do the super cuts where I take out everything that didn't work. You know, just so it seems like I'm always, you know, on top of my game and everything seems to work. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll pause the video here, and then I'll be back, you know, once I get it fixed or once I get the problem solved. I don't like doing that. I want you to see the whole process, and it takes time, and, you know, the videos get long, but you get to see that process happening, and hopefully that gives you a little more appreciation for not only the build, but for the troubleshooting that's involved, and helps you in your own builds to maybe not get so frustrated when something doesn't work. You know, maybe start thinking of different ways of doing it. Maybe, oh yeah, I remember he tried this. Let's try that. See if it works. Or oh, I remember he did that and it didn't work. But then he did this and it did. You know. So hopefully it helps you in your own builds, seeing the process of failing before succeeding, and hopefully you enjoy these videos as a whole. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here because now I'm just rambling on. So take care, everybody. This is Jodian signing off. I will see you next time. Bye-bye now.